And just like a soldier, I keep on moving forward, always getting closer, I'm marching till it's over. And just like a soldier, I keep on moving forward.
Hello and welcome back to MangaMuse guys. This is the second part of What If Deku Enters HAZBINhotel. Make sure to like, share, subscribe and also press the bell icon so that you never miss a great update. Also make sure to check out the wonderful author DiabloDrago on Wattpad. Well, let's continue with the story now.
Some time after the lovers' little escapade in the shower, which took way longer than it should have and cost a lot of water, the trio were now sitting in the back of the royal limo, awaiting to arrive at their destination while Izuku was on his phone texting a contact simply labeled as Kitten. Kitten, almost up top now. Cool. I hope there weren't any issues. How are the kids holding up? They're alright. Just a little worried. Especially since extermination wasn't that long ago. Well, I'll be sure to get them a nice treat. And one for my special little kitten. I look forward to it, Naya. I hope you two aren't gonna start S-ting. Vaggie jokes as she looks over his shoulder. At least the girls are alright. Hopefully it stays calm for a while. I mean, considering most demons aren't idiots to think they can start trouble in my territory, we should be fine. Speaking of, we still need to get a good teacher for them, Charlie said as she shook her head. Which won't be easy considering your reputation at this point. What I did to those schools was not my fault. Sweetie. I say this, love, but, Vaggie paused, taking in a breath so as to try not to be annoyed. You've burned down 7 schools because of their choice of teachers. You know DMN well what the F was wrong with those freaks. The only reason they even got those jobs is because no one cares about children anymore. Finish the teachers, not the entire school. Take over the system and hire teachers yourself if you don't like the ones they have. Too much work. Okay, let's quit before this gets too heated. Charlie chuckled awkwardly at the two. Remember what happened last time you guys argued? Vaggie blushed lightly and looked away when she brought that up. I don't see the problem. I mean, I hate it when we argue, but what's wrong with makeup SEC when it's all said and done? Izuku shrugged it off, getting a sigh out of the princess. The problem is that last time we had to completely replace several bed sheets, beds, tables, and chairs. We basically had to remodel the rooms because of the mess. Like you didn't enjoy it. He chuckled. But I see your point. Next time we'll go to a motel. Right, Chica Picante? Vaggie blushed harder as she tried hiding behind her hair for cover. And we're here. Charlie quickly yelled as the limo came to a stop, which resulted in Izuku blitzing out of the vehicle as fast as he could. Well, at least he's excited. She chuckled in amusement. Yeah. Vaggie smiled as she watched him walk off. He really loves the kids, so I can see how not being with them can cause him some distress. Well, it's part of his charm after all. Just imagine what it's gonna be like the next time we have a baby. Oh, don't remind me. You know how crazy he got when V was PRGNNT. She laughed a bit at the memory. I had to carry a bat to knock him out before things got out of hand. You two coming or what? He called out from a distance. We're coming, sweetie. Charlie laughed as she and Vaggie quickly started to follow him into the station. The two hurriedly went after him as Razzle and Dazzle drove off to park the car. Meanwhile, the trio have entered the station and are now awaiting for the rest of their party. A loud ding went off as a large set of doors opened up, letting loose a large crowd of Hellborn into the station. Despite being a bit taller than a fair bit of the populace, it was still hard to see over them. With a sigh, Izuku raised his hand with small sparks emitting from his fingertips. A few seconds later he fired off a small harmless firework to signal them, scaring some individuals while others just went about their day. Papa! A small voice called out, revealing a small white-haired child with 2 curved red horns, one of which was broken, rushing through the crowd. There's my little snowball. He smiled as the child jumped into his arms, laughing and giggling all the way. Now who's next? Akane? Tilla? Daddy? Mamas? Another child cried out, this time a small hellhound with gray fur resembling that of a husky dog. Said child also jumped up, landing in Charlie's arms as she let out a surprised squeak. "There's my fluffy comet." The princess smiled happily as she started preparing the child with small kisses. "Dang it! You kids are getting fast," the voice of a woman yelled as she cut her through the crowd. A slim, red imp with large curled horns, red eyes with yellow sclera, sharp teeth and black, claw-like fingers. She also had a heart-shaped skull marking on her forehead that seemed to be crossed out. She was dragging some bags behind her as she held a small child in her arms. Said child had white hair and 2 black horns that had stars on them. "Hi Dada." The small child waved happily in her arms. "Hello my little superstar." Izuku smiled as the child reached out for him, to which he did just so and hugged the little one close. "Good to see you guys are all right." The imp woman smiled as she was suddenly picked up by Vaggie. "Hey! You know you love it, Barb." She smirked as she hugged her tightly. "You're just jealous that the kids didn't rush to you first." She grumbled but didn't even try to escape her grasp. "She's right though. Kids, give your mother a hug." He smiled as the 3 kids were then given to the moth demon. "And now I get you, my sweet little kitten." "Naya," Barbie purred as she was taken into his arms. The 2 engage in a tender kiss that lasts a few short moments. "I missed you. I missed you more." He smiled with a chuckle as she wrapped her tail around his arm. Clearly meaning he was not letting her go anytime soon. "Papa and Mama are flirting," Eri pointed out with a small smirk. Yes, they are." Vaggie chuckled. "Though we better get going since everyone is staring at us," she said, noticing the looks they were getting from passers-by. "Take a hike, dum-dums." Akane growled, not liking the people staring at them. Rude but warranted. Izuku let out a dry chuckle as the luggage started floating behind them. "Let's get home before so we can get you all nice and settled." The family has just arrived back home at the Hazbin Hotel, where they finally saw the changed sign. Izuku made a note to talk to Alastair about the unpermitted change to it but decided to not be too harsh since they kinda liked the name. Right now, however, they had all just arrived at the lobby where everyone else had been gathered. Needless to say some individuals were shocked to see the 3 children and the imp woman who was also a member of their relationship. "So what you are saying it, that in the 7 years you've been down here you already have 3 kids? And with multiple partners to boot, one of which isn't here right now because she has business elsewhere," Husk said as he tried his best to hide his half-empty bottle of whiskey from the kids. "Is there anything else I'm missing? I have an appointment with another colleague later today, a staff meeting tomorrow at an assassination company I work for / sorta own, and I am actually an overlord that runs a string of businesses all around Pride." "Is that it?" "More or less." "Ah, you're so cute." Nifty could be heard playing the kids off to the side of the room, carrying a giggling Tilla who messed with her hair as Akane was getting some zoom eyes in. "I'm gonna love you all forever and ever. I must say this is quite the shock. Just imagine how many shocked faces there will be if this gets out." Alastair laughed before feeling a slight chill run down his spine. Courtesy of a glare from a very menacing Izuku, who was still carrying a very calm and happy Barbie wire. "I just got here and I don't even get a good chance to be with my cuddle bug? I'm hurt," she said softly with a teasing smirk. "Then how about you get along with me? I can't help but feel that you could use the extra activities." "Oh really?" She smirked as she wrapped her arms around his neck, giving him a sultry stare right into his eyes. "Color me intrigued, I can't wait to see what you have cooked up later." "Daddy and Mommy are flirting again," Akane said as she finished her energetic zoom eyes. "Not even gonna try and hide it? And you call me a perv?" Angel shrugged with a dry laugh as he laid lazily on one of the couches, occasionally wincing whenever he heard a ding from his phone. "Does that mean we're getting a little brother?" Eri questioned with a head tilt getting them to freeze instantly. "Eri, why you can't just say that?" Charlie stuttered out with a dark blush. Anyway, Izuku cleared his throat. Me and Barbie are gonna need to get ready for our outing then. So I hope you'll all watch over them. Except you, Al. You stay at least 50 feet away from them. He said, pointing a glare at the strawberry PMP. Perfectly fine with me. I still have some prep work for my new studio to install anyhow. He said nonchalantly, walking away from the group while twirling his cane. How the fudge do you expect us to keep watch of these kids? Husk said, nearly swearing but quickly caught himself. I don't know, maybe put on a magic show for them. Izuku smirked slightly as Husk simply looked at him blankly. Magic? Akane and Eri were almost instantly at the counter, staring straight at the cat demon expectantly. No. He said plainly, getting back to his job. Yeah. No need to pester the Hazbin magician. Pretty sure he's years out of practice anyway. Vaggie spoke cockily as the former Vegas star gleamed at her. What are you getting at? I mean, she has a point. Charlie mused with a knowing smile. I mean, you are the bartender after all. We can't really ask you to do much more than your job after all. You did say you gave up on magic tricks some time ago. Izuku laughed a bit, joining in on the GG. I mean, basic parlor tricks aren't much help down here anyway. Except for entertaining kids, but I guess maybe you're just not up for it. Alright, fine. He groaned, resigning himself to his fate. The three shared a brief high five in celebration as he pulled out a deck of cards. Pick a card. Any card. He spoke in a bored tone. Eri examined the spread of cards carefully, soon drawing a card from the deck. The ace of spades was her choice. After memorizing the card, she placed it back in the deck for Husk to shuffle. A quick minute later he drew the top card from the deck and showed it to them. Is this your card? He questioned rhetorically. And lo and behold, it was the ace of spades. Whoa! The two girls looked up at him amazed with stars in their eyes. It was enough to make the man smile. If even for a little bit. Here's another good one, he said, with a slightly more chipper attitude. Reaching his hand behind Akane's ear, confusing the small hellhound. And tada! He pulled out a coin. So cool. And like that the kids are at peace. Izuku smiled as he soon walked off to get his supplies. Not before giving his girlfriends a quick kiss on the cheek. So where are we going anyway? Barbie asked, still being carried in his arms. The Goetia place that's located just outside of Imp City. He felt her freeze in shock in his grasp. We're gonna be tag-teaming a princess either before or after she vents to us about random things that's going on with her arranged marriage. Which is she shares a mutual hate for with her husband who's obviously gay at first glance who is also having an affair. What? She uttered out in slight shock and confusion. We're gonna quote-unquote eat the rich tonight. Oh. So we're getting that bag out tonight? Yes indeedy. It's your favorite, isn't it? Are we gonna be using the clamps or the tasers? Probably both. What flavor lube? Vanilla. Ha! That's the only vanilla thing in any of what we do. I guess that means you want the chains too? Oh F the hell yes. The team of 4, 3 imps and a hellhound, sat in silence as the clock in the background ticked. Adding to the annoyance of one tall imp who simply grumbled to himself. This being the leader of the team Blitz with his cohorts Moxie and Millie along with his daughter Luna. Where the F is that kid? The failed entertainer screamed in fury as he furiously glared at the ticking clock. He's an hour late. What in Satan's name is he doing? The clock continued to tick in the background before he pulled out his flintlock. And you? Shut up, he ordered, pulling the trigger and destroying the clock instantly. That's the 3rd clock this week, sir. Moxie sighed heavily, getting up from his seat and over to the supply closet. Getting a broom, a dustpan, and another clock to hang up. F off. Blitz, calm yourself down boy. Millie yelled in exasperation. He told us he was going to be late. He said to just have the meeting without him, so what's the big deal? No way. I ain't starting SHT till he gets here. The boss yelled, getting an eye roll from the hound girl who didn't bother looking away from her phone. Slam. I live bees. A voice yelled out as the aforementioned kid entered the room, drawing their attention, though they did let out a laugh when they saw that his appearance was a bit rough and ready. Clearly something was going on before he got there. Wink, wink. Good day, everyone. What did I miss? Nothing much, Izuku. Blitz refused to start without you and now he's, Millie began with a light chuckle. Acting like a fool. Moxie finished for his significant other, now having finished setting up the new clock. Well, screw you too, Mox. The boss growled before pointing an accusatory finger at Izuku. And where have you been? I had a very important appointment that I couldn't reschedule. I told you this yesterday, he said as he took a seat beside Luna. Said Furry, glancing over at him with a small smirk before messing with his hair, pulling out a few stray white feathers, which luckily went unnoticed by the others. Now, are we gonna get started or what? Izuku asked with a smile, before tuning out most of what was going on since he didn't really care. Alright, now, I know business has been a bit slow lately, yes. It's no one's fault, okay? I'm not naming any names here, Moxie. Moxie gives him an incredulous look as he continues. Now, does anyone have any bright ideas on how we can get business drumming up again? What about a car wash? Millie excitedly asked with a sparkle in her eyes. This is hell, Millie. No one cares about cars being clean here, okay? Speak for yourself, boss. Izuku commented with a slightly disgusted expression. Ooh, what about a billboard? Blitz proposed with a subtle shine in his eyes. We can't afford a billboard, sir. Moxie sighed as he rolled his eyes at his theatrics. I mean, I can, but that doesn't mean I'll do it. Izuku muttered out with a shrug as he drank his coffee. Helpful, Moxie. Really glad you're in the room right now. Have you guys forgotten what service we provide? Blitz said as he shoved him away, turning on the nearby TV and showing footage of the group out on a job. Blitz swung a hammer at one person's head, causing it to crack open, while Moxie fired a shotgun point blank at another, which sent him flying afterwards. Luna was swinging one person around with her teeth by the neck. Millie sliced another target's head clean off with a maniacal laugh. In the background, Izuku was absent-mindedly setting his targets on fire while scrolling through his phone. Ah, those were the good times, he said in a nostalgic tone as he brought out a bucket of popcorn to share with the group. Popcorn is stale, Blitz. Seriously, how long were you holding on to this? Izuku questioned as he spit out the old popcorn. I don't need any reminding, sir, considering you blew most of our salaries on an obnoxious TV ad last week. One that you then additionally paid to have run for a full 3 hours on a channel nobody watches. And by nobody you mean just us, since half the people I know are crazy for romantic comedies. Izuku comments again, getting looks from the others. What? Hey, excuse me. What's obnoxious about a super fun jingle, all right? It's a fun distraction when an advertisement's spittin' BS. People love musicals, sir. Millie stated in a matter-of-fact tone. Considering we live in one, we don't really have much of a choice. Exactly, Millie. And we're basically doing a musical. Are you gonna crush my musical theater dreams like my dad did? Sir. 'Cause right now, all I see is just my dad's as talking to me. Crushing my dreams of being who I truly am inside. He continued with the dramatic display. Are you trying to crush his dreams, Moxie? Millie asked in a playful tone. I what? He looked over to his wife in slight confusion. I thought I knew you. She seductively stuck her tongue out at him, making him blush. Who are you and what have you done with the adorable Mox I know and adore? Izuku joined in, speaking in an exaggerated worried tone. I can't believe you, Moxie, after I made you Employee of the Month. Blitz cried out as he pulled out a picture of Moxie, which was not at all flattering, that was labeled as such. Okay, sir. Moxie cut into the bit with a heavy sigh. I'm sorry, a commercial jingle is not comparable to musical theater. Nobody actually likes the jingles. I liked it. Millie said, getting her husband to shake as he pointed to her. Do not agree with him in front of me. Wait. Are you saying you don't like my singing, Mox? Izuku raised an eyebrow, making the smaller imp look away slightly. And no. I love you singing. Moxie panicked before taking a quick breath to calm himself. I'd like to go on record and say that incident was Luna's fault. Dispatch is supposed to give us the right info on the target. It's very simple. He looked over at the gothic-dressed hellhound, who was sitting right across from him while looking at her phone, which had a bunch of images of Moxie being tortured in multiple different ways, including explosions, crushing, stabbing, etc. Oh, sit on a PP, Moxie, she said, not even to turn to look at him. Oh, trust me. Izuku giggled in his seat. He does that just fine. You sit. Sit on A and the D, do your job. He scrambled to say, fighting off a blush from Izuku's previous comment. Hey, now, we don't blame our screw-ups on Luna, okay? She didn't do anything wrong, he said as he began affectionately nuzzling her. To which she responded with a threatening growl. Are you kidding me, sir? She's awful. Come on, Mox. She ain't that bad. Flashback 1. Hello, IMP. Luna answered the company phone while looking at a Hellhound monthly magazine. Luna, I got stabbed. Call Mox. Luna didn't care to listen any further and hung up the call. Meanwhile, Izuku walked in confused. Was that a client? No idea. She said plainly before turning to show Izuku a page in her magazine. More specifically, a page for child Hellhound products. You think Akane will like the dress or the choker better? Maybe both? Flashback 2. Happy adoption anniversary, Looney. I got you a little something, he said happily as he presented his adopted daughter with a wrapped gift. Is it a cure for SYPHLS? She asked with a narrowed glare. Blitz looked away awkwardly. Then I don't want it, she yelled as she grabbed the box and threw it to the ground, releasing the contents that crawled all over her. Ugh. I'm sorry. It was spiders. Blitz yelled out as he somehow got outside and was looking in from a window. Godmit. She grumbled as she started feeling a bit warm. Looking over, she found Izuku standing beside her with the flames killing the spiders. So you have a SYPHLS? He quirked an eyebrow as she looked away slightly. Come on, he said as he grabbed her hand, a portal opening in the path. Where are we going? Sloth, so you can get some actual help, he said as the portal closed behind them. Flashback 3. Excuse me. Did you just fax me an ad for weight loss? Moxie asked, holding a flyer for Chub Be Gone. No. She spoke uncaringly as she watched Charlie's performance on her computer. Well, why would anyone send me this? Moxie said in confusion. Come on, you know why. Don't worry, Mox. You're fine, Izuku said, appearing right behind him, giving the small imp a shiver. Besides, I think this is a bit better than what she sent me, he said, showing him a piece of paper. What, the unholy CRP? His face turned a bright neon red as he turned away from the sight, a faint drizzle of BLD coming from his nose as he did so. Flashback 4. Whoever left the avocado salad in the fridge, I'm taking it, because I have the worst hangover right now. Luna groaned as she fished the box out of the fridge, tearing off the lid and drinking, the salad. Why would you drink on a work night? Millie questioned as she watched her. I'm hungover from this morning, dumbass. You really need to learn about moderation, Looney. Izuku commented as he stirred a cup of tea. Isn't that my lunch? Moxie questioned as he walked into the room. I brought extra so I can share with you, Mox. You know what? I can't take this assault right now. I need to blow off some steam. She yelled as she kicked the box at Moxie, sending him flying. Aya. She screamed as she ran into the street and kicked away a baby in a stroller with the mother looking shocked and horrified. Soon the stroller was floating back towards the woman who sighed in relief as she hugged her baby protectively. Izuku stared at the sight from the window with a content smile on his face. Flashback 5. Blitz, that clingy, rich as is on the phone. Says it's urgent and wants to talk to you. Luna called out, staring at the three men who were standing by the water tank. Sounds a little DTFY. Oh, God, it was one time. He complained as he threw his cup to the ground. If I hadn't slept with that privileged as, none of us would have access to the living world. You what? Moxie looked at him with a deadpan. I second that. Izuku stared blankly at his boss as he slowly slipped his drink. Flashback 5.5. Got the book, got the book. Got this in heavy book. Blitz whispered to himself as he snuck towards the balcony, leaving behind a sleeping owl demon who was hooting as he slept. He climbed onto the railing only for the book to slip, dragging him down with it. Oh, SHT. He fell straight down onto the table and in a massive cake, or pudding I guess you call it since they seem to be British. Surrounded by a small group of other bird demons, including the clingy rich Az's wife, Stella and Izuku who was with them. All of them getting covered in cake and frosting. Sorry, IF your husband. He said before he quickly began running away from the group. Really fast since he noticed Izuku was looking really pissed. Flashback 5.5 end. It took me 4 hours to make that dessert, Blitz. 4 hours. He crushed his cup in his hand before it melted. 4 hours? Moxie raised an eyebrow as he handed him a new cup. It would have been about 2.5, but Eri and Akane really wanted to help and you know I can't really say no to them. Ah. Blitz. Luna yelled again to refocus their attention. I heard you, Alria. He screamed back at her before transitioning to his office where he was now speaking with the privileged as. So, what can I do for you this time, Stolas? There's a political candidate causing trouble up on Earth for a few of my associates. He's trying to convince people global warming exists. Doesn't it? Well, yes, but more people die if nothing is done about it. And it gets lonely here. Okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. You know what happens when I'm lonely, Blitzy? Oh, God indemnit. He muttered to himself, grimacing in what was about to leak. When I'm lonely, I become hungry. And when I become hungry, I want to choke on that red of yours and lick all of your, before taking out your, and with more teeth until you're screaming like AF baby. Blitz hung up the phone, which had Stolas's caller ID fittingly as, Creepy Mouth aka 1N Stand Bird D. He then proceeded to snap his phone in half, crush it into pieces using his office phone, and blend those pieces with a blender in his office into a smooth puree. Eat this. He said, handing the thing to Luna who was standing right next to him, meaning she probably heard the whole thing. Either way she still ate the phone smoothie for some reason. And then you know that bridge over the freeway? Yeah? He questioned with a raised eyebrow. Bring the kid with you, SHT off it, and have him set that SHT on fire. Leave me out of this. He called out from the other room. I'll pay you extra. Come on, Luna. We'll get some food while we're out. End of flashbacks. Look, the point is, Luna is a valued member of our family, and we don't get rid of family. Blitz stated, not noticing that Luna, seemingly touched by his remark, smiled softly. We aren't a family, sir. You are the boss. We are the employees. You treat her like she's some troubled teenager. Moxie exclaimed as Luna slowly flipped him the bird as he spoke. She's more like a meth-addicted homeless woman you let man the phones. That is offensive. Without homeless people, I wouldn't have half the joy and laughter I do in this life. He pressed his face against the window, glancing down at a homeless imp with a sign that read, Moni helps, Satan bless, with a succubus on her phone glaring at the poor man. Blitz simply waved down with a smug grin on his face. Izuku, seeing this, used his flames to float down a small pack filled with some non-perishable snacks they had on hand and some extra cash he had on him. The imp, seeing the pack, looked up at Izuku, who simply smiled with a wave. The homeless imp had small tears in his eyes as he mouthed his thanks to him. While we're on the subject of family, can you stop finding me and Millie outside of work? Moxie complained as he facepalmed. Come on, sweetie. It's not that big a deal, Millie said in a comforting tone as she shrugged it off. Excuse me, what? Flashback 6. Honey, can you get me the butter? Moxie called out as he was busy making dinner. Sure, sweetie. She opened the fridge, immediately gaining a shocked expression. What's funny, honey? Moxie asked, confused as he put some carrots in the soup or whatever it was supposed to be. Really impressive wordplay, Blitz said as he smiled, cutely, from inside the fridge. What the? Why are you in our fridge? Okay, we're here now, Izuku called out as he walked into the kitchen with Charlie and Vaggy behind him carrying a couple of boxes with them. And we brought gifts, Charlie said excitedly as she bounced around in excitement. Why is there someone in the fridge? Vaggy questioned in a bored tone. Oh, I'm joining your guys' date or whatever F-fest this is. No, you're not, Izuku said as he closed the fridge and dragged it out of the kitchen. We'll get you a new one. Charlie awkwardly chuckled while Vaggy let out a tired sigh. Flashback 7. Moxie was in bed groaning as he heard noises going on in the room. He slowly opened up his eyes only to be met by the sight of Blitz sitting on him, staring down on him as he was purring. Whatcha dreamin' about? I was dreaming my father was being murdered while my late mother was alive, getting remarried to someone I couldn't see because you woke me up, but now I'd like to go back to that. Flashback 8. Of all the imps in hell, it's for her that I fell. It's for her that I fell. It's for him that I fell. Oh, Millie. Are you filming us right now? He yelled out in rage as he saw Blitz outside the window spying on them when they were trying to be romantic. Flashbacks end. Just stop doing that, he growled as he glared at his boss. I don't see what the issue is. There's something you don't want me seeing? Blitz mocks him with a smirk while Luna is snickering in the back. No. You a baby wiener haver? Can confirm, Mox is much larger than you would expect. Izuku? Moxie yelled out, turning his attention to the green-haired demon. What? I'm just saying that you're one hell of a power bottom. Okay, wow. I really don't believe the SHT you're saying, kid. Blitz laughs as he looks over to him. But, at the very least you don't mind my spying. You what now? Flashback 9. Slowly and carefully, Blitz scaled the walls of a building, desperately trying not to drop his camera bag he held in his teeth. Reaching a ledge, he stopped and stared through a window that was partially covered in curtains, allowing him a decent view of the room and those who were inside. Who's your daddy? Izuku asked a woman beneath him, her long blonde hair held tightly in his grasp. Answer me, darling. You are my daddy, the woman mmm as she clung to a second woman who laid under her, patting at her melons. Vaggy don't SCK so hard, she smiled as the woman separated from her tips. Oh, honey, you know how much I love your cute little melons, she smirked as she teased her tips. And soon, very soon they're gonna be filled to the brim with such sweet milk, she smirked again, latching onto her tips. Now that's what I'm talking about, Blitz thought as he began setting up his camera. Unfortunately he dropped, which caused it to flash suddenly, freezing the three inside for a moment. DMN it, he cursed under his breath. When he tried to pick it up, the window shattered from a spear being thrown through it, causing him to fall off the ledge and down the side of the building. Luckily there was a bed of roses that broke his fall. What was that? Izuku asked with a raised eyebrow, without stopping from pounding into his lover. Probably just Angel again. Vaggie sighed before her smile returned. Now I believe you were putting an adorable little demon in our princess here. Yes ma'am, he slammed his hips into Charlie's flower. Oh harder daddy. Flashback end. That was you? His eyes glowed brightly as a small burst of flame surrounded him for a second. Sir, what you say and how you act is totally inappropriate. He yelled out as he stood up from his chair. Calm down, Mox. You're gonna have another panic attack. Millie rubbed his shoulder as she brought him back to his seat. I am calm. Shoo. There. She whispered lovingly as she gently patted his head. Look, I don't judge the boring couple stuff you do outside work hours, so don't judge me. Oh, I do judge you, sir. Quite a lot, actually. Mox, he's our boss. No, it's fine Mills, your husband is just how do I say this without being offensive retarded. Does immaturely insulting me make you feel better about your sad, single life? It actually does. The only reason you have a wife is because you're easy to manage. Luna commented, finally looking up from her phone. No he's not, you be. Millie yelled out as she slammed her hands to the table and flipped Luna the double bird. Getting said hellhound to start growling at her. Like I said before, he's one hell of a power bottom. Izuku said before gaining a thoughtful look. Which I guess makes sense since Millie is one of the best service tops I've ever met. Do not talk to my receptionist that way. She's sensitive. Yes, I am. You guys are all assholes. They all turned to see the kid Moxie had shot was in a bed off in the corner of the room. Oh, shut up, kid. You're lucky to witness this. Ugh, this company is such a mess. Moxie let out a heavy sigh as he pinched the bridge of his nose. Alright, let's go back to talking about my outfit. Nobody was talking about that. Luna complained as she went back to her phone. Which is why I'm trying to get that ball rolling. So, how does it look? It's good, right? It ain't bad but I can tell that it's dry clean only which is just terrible when it comes to BLD stains. But I guess seltzer water and lemon works pretty well for that. It's been a literal hell having to pretend to be paralyzed so USHTS wouldn't kill me. But now I want that. I want death. He groaned before pointing over to Blitz. You are a selfish, greedy clown. And I'm a kid. We're supposed to like clowns. Even the creepy ones. Hey, now. That's not very. If I wanted to hear from a spineless jackass, I'd rip out your spine and ask you some SHT. That's my husband you're talking to. That's your husband? Eddie exclaimed with a loud laugh. I figured you were a SLT, but I didn't know you needed PP that bad. I guess that's why the little C lends you over to Greenie over there. And you? He yelled pointing over to Luna who was glaring at him. What? What about me? Nothing. I don't talk to dogs. I'm a cat person. The child spoke smugly as he grinned in Izuku's general direction. And don't even get me started about you, cabbage head. You better choose your final words carefully. Izuku's expression turned dark and cold, sending shivers down the boy's spine. Flames glowing in azure brilliance dancing in the palm of his hand. Ready to end him. And never mind. The boy shriveled in fear. Wow. Kid, you kind of are a piece of SHT. Blitz muttered as he glared at the BRT. Yeah, after all. He's kind of a piece of SHT. Moxie complained, hoping to get a reason to shoot the BSTRD child. Oh, F. Guys, I just got a text from our client. Luna alerted them as she got a notification from her phone. Guess he was the right target after all. Who? Him. Me? Yup. They wanted us to end an actual child? That's what they're saying, . Well, Christ on a stick. I guess there is a God. Blitz smiled happily as he pulled out his favorite gun, a flintlock pistol, and shot the little SHT square in the chest. Ow! You know, folks, with this company, I really wanted to prove that we're capable of doing the same things anyone else can. Like killing people. Blitz narrated as the team quickly got to disrespect the kid's corpse, kicking it around and cutting it with a chainsaw. So, from us here at the Immediate Murder Professionals Group, we promise to settle your unfinished business or your money is gone and you're never getting it back, and you can write us a bad review but we'll play dumb to it, because it's hell and no one effing cares. They stuffed Eddie's dismembered body parts into a garbage bag. Moxie and Millie shared a loving look as they tied it shut. Izuku wrapped his arm around Luna's shoulder, making her blush lightly but she enjoyed it nonetheless. Blitz soon hugged each and every one of them in a hug as he looked down on the bag. You know, even though this kid was a target, he's still a child. And it's important that we handle this going forward respectfully. Back in the human world, there is a news story going on about a woman who has lost her child, Eddie. News anchor looked on dismissively as it was probably just one of many he's done in his life. Of course, it also didn't help that said mother couldn't draw her own child, but that's not really important right now. Please. If anyone has seen my little Eddie, please contact us at BOHH, she cried as the bag that held Eddie's body fell into her arms. The cameraman panned over to a building showing the IMP crew for all to see. You're welcome. Blitz waved to the people as Izuku flipped everyone the bird as the portal closed. So who wanted the kid dead anyway? Izuku questioned as he took a couple sodas out of the fridge, tossing one over to Luna who caught it easily. Just some weird peppermint reindeer demon. Apparently the BRT kicked their partner in the shins last Halloween and they wanted payback. She answered as she opened up her drink. Cool. I was a good person, before it all went down I was good my entire life. We open our scene upon the little red schoolhouse called Puppy's Junior School. Birds fly in the background. Learning is fun is written on the side of the building. There are trees and a playground. A bell on the roof rings. The classroom curtains are opened, revealing two birds singing on a tree branch. Inside the classroom, the teacher quickly writes, "Good morning," on the blackboard. "Good morning," sang a slim, tan-skinned woman with both sandy green eyes and sandy blonde waist-length hair which is more fluffy and curly at the lower portion, who twirled happily to look upon her eager class. "I hope you all did your homework," she greeted, looking over the smiling students, nodding in a dance at their desks. A brown-haired boy wearing a dunce cap spins on a stool and faces the wall. "We love to do our homework, and we love our teacher, too. Then, when I throw out these fun questions, you should know just what to do. Okay. 2 + 6 is 8. And good behaviors. Great. And now, it's that part of the class when we say the time of day and date. It's 9 in the morning. On January 8th. The sun is out smiling. And it's your husband's birthday." With that one declaration from the dunce boy, a series of unavoidable events had begun its course. The class continues to sings "La La La" while Mrs. Mayberry faces the board. She drags her piece of chalk in a line on the board, the piece almost gone. Her face is beaded with sweat and her eye twitches. "Oh my stars! Stop singing, children! Hush up, now!" Her panicked declaration quickly shut them up as she leaned against her desk with a look of worry and guilt. "I forgot it's my husband's birthday. I didn't get him anything special. Maybe if we call him, we could do a happy birthday surprise," one of the students suggested joyfully. Scene cuts to a bedroom. Wifey appears with a ringing telephone icon on a computer screen. A sock lands on a corner of the computer followed by a pair of underwear. Giggles and an "oh, yeah" and not there dash come from the room. An unused condom hits the screen and accepts the video call as Mrs. Mayberry's face appears from the other, while the sound of a squeaking bed is heard. Back in the classroom, her face turns red in anger and then shock as she stares in bewilderment. The children stand behind her with concerned, fearful looks. Her face blank and in shadow, Mrs. Mayberry stands up and walks away. "Wait. Mrs. Mayberry. One of the children grabs her hand in an attempt to stop her. Remember what you taught us? Think before you act. Mrs. Mayberry grabs hold of the girl's neck and tosses her through the roof. She walks out the door. The children scurry to the window to see Mrs. Mayberry drive through a white picket fence in her green car. The children head back to the computer to watch. Okay. The sound of a door slamming opened caught him by surprise. Oh, SHT. Sweetie, what are you doing here? Shut up, Jarrold. Mrs. Mayberry screamed at her soon-to-be ex-husband. Followed by the sounds of a woman's screams and the whirring of a chainsaw. You scream like A.B. she yelled at the mystery harlot. The sounds of a gunshot catching their ears. Dunce boy cowers in his seat as the sound of a chainsaw is heard. BLD splatters against the computer screen as the children stare in horror. Yet the students didn't look away from the mess that had unfolded. Oh, God! What have you done? She had a family. Jarrold cried out in horror. We could have had a family. Mayberry sobbed as she cocked her gun. Gunshots are heard and several children look away in disgust. Mrs. Mayberry wipes away the BLD from the screen. She looks frazzled at her students. Oh, dear God! What have I done? In front of you all. Tears began streaming down her face as she could not bear to see the faces of the students she held so dearly. I'm so sorry, my children. Don't forget to work on your times tables. One final gunshot rang out of the computer speakers. One by one, each of the children who witnessed the traumatic display fell to the ground unconscious. Surely to be haunted by this for years to come. You do everything right in life, play by all the rules and still get sent down here with all the Hitlers and Epsteins of the world. The camera lowers to show a pipe and fossils underground, followed by hanging stalactites. The camera stops at the outside of the IMP building. A shot of the door reads, with meeting in progress, smiley face, on a taped piece of paper. Blitzo is seen on his office chair looking bored as a shadow silhouette of Mrs. Mayberry paces the room. After one measly massacre propelled by blind rage. So, that's why I'm here. Mrs. Mayberry turns steps out of the shadows, showing off her new demonic form as he huffs a puff of her cig. To get my revenge. I mean, was she hotter? Blitz asked boredly because he clearly doesn't care about the situation. The women glaring at him angrily as he did so. I'm just saying, I had a hard time understanding the unprompted melodrama you just spat at me, Tips. He smirks at her, making her seethe in anger as her hair glows a fiery red. Anyway, I don't think you quite understand how we're operating down here. Blitzo stands up and Mrs. Mayberry continues to glare at him. See, we take revenge on the living, and it sounds like the core cast of your sitcom of death. Mayberry barely contains her rage at the imp as he keeps on talking. Frankly, are all probably down here in hell with you. Boop. He boops her snoot like you would a little pup, but that angers her even more. Not all of them. That where survived. She clenched her claws and tossed away her cig. Now, they all call her a hero. We zoom in on a standard nuclear family in a hospital room, surrounded by bouquets and gifts galore as the mother is wrapped in bandages. New reporters gathered around them in hopes to get a word from the new hero of the day. How does it feel to have survived such a crazy beat? Asked a news reporter who will most likely be fired later on for her foul language on public television. Unless her through game is on point, that is. It probably is. I just hope that sick woman finally found peace. Blonde where, Martha, said, feigning an aura of innocence around her. You are so brave. Here's $2 million. The same news reporter who lyly eats off her boss to keep her job hands the family a glistening golden check. Making Martha's eyes sparkle. Oh. Thank you. Martha smiled innocently as the cameras flashed. The scene transitioned to a photo of Martha standing with her husband Ralphie and their 2 children in front of a house by a lake, surrounded by a picket fence. Between the talk shows and the donation BS, she made so much goddamn cash getting shot was the best thing to happen to her. Scene cuts to Martha standing at a podium with VNN on it. A news reporter holds out a microphone among several other microphones. "You're a hero." Martha is then seen jogging with a dark-skinned woman with blonde hair. "You're a hero, girl." In a grocery store, a boy wearing a beaver skin cap talks with a cashier named Brooke. "My mama's a hero. She is a hero." Ralphie and Martha have SEC in a bedroom and he grunts in pleasure. "You're a hero." An old priest is seen with his hands folded in prayer by church doors. Martha stands next to him with her hands folded. "You're a hero." Martha is then seen standing at the front of Mrs. Mayberry's old classroom. Another teacher introduces Martha to the class. How to deal with trauma 101 is written on the board. "You're a hero." Martha smiles as she is given backdoor smash from another man. "You're a hero." Back in hell, Mrs. Mayberry's purple fists create cracks on Blitzo's desk as she smashes down on it. "She is not a hero." She snarled loudly with her voice echoing in the office. She leans in close to Blitz's face, her face red with anger. Yeah. Okay, yeah, my thoughts exactly." He simply nods, frightened by the woman before him who is just looking for BLD. He sneaks his hand below his desk as he rapidly presses a red button from underneath his desk. A red light flashes by a label reading, "Deranged Client." The other labels read, "More Coffee," "Soiled My Pants," "Corny Client," "Client Giving BRTH," "Ghost," "Stolas," and "Izuku's Pissed." Help. Unfortunately, the crew doesn't notice the distress. Moxie, who is holding a black and red crossbow in his hands. In front of him is a picture of a smiling family, a father, a mother, a baby, and 2 children. His arms are shaking as the pointer hovers around the man's PP area. "Moxie, stop shakin'. You're gonna shoot our boyfriend." His wife, Millie, says as she gestures across the room. Izuku is seated on the gray couch across from them, holding the picture up in one hand. Luna was scrolling through her phone boredly with her head on Izuku's lap, who was petting her with his free hand. On the wall are drawings of Blitzo in a horse shape and a drawing of Robo Fizz with an arrow sticking out from it. "Wow. I feel so loved here," Luna said sarcastically with a deadpan, not even looking away from her phone. "Oh, don't worry, Looney," Izuku cooed as he tickled her behind the ears. "She just knows that I'd protect you." She blushed lightly but tried to hide it. "But in all seriousness, Mox, I'm always willing to take shots from you, but I think arrows aren't really what I meant." "Please stop," the smaller imp male blushed as his wife giggled beside him. "Just take a deep breath and let it out." She demonstrated the action. "For him." "But it's a family. Under what circumstances would we ever need to kill a human family? I mean, if that's what the client wants." Millie shrugs, not really seeing the problem with the situation. "Maybe like a shitty dad. Or a mob family. That's understandable." He speaks in a stereotypical Italian accent before shifting back to normal. "But to eradicate an entire innocent seemingly, in this instance upper-middle-class family bloodline? I get what you mean, Mox. The parents I probably wouldn't have a problem with. They had their chance but they F it up," Izuku says as he eyes the picture for a bit. "But the kids are where I'd put my foot down. They're young and impressionable, they could amount to something if given the chance." "Exactly." Moxie smiled happily with having at least one person on his side. "But," Izuku begins, to which Moxie becomes slightly disheartened. "No family is this happy, and if they are definitely hiding something. You don't know they're innocent." Luna sits up from Izuku's lap, getting their attention. "This kid probably sets dogs on fire, maybe this girl gets off on bullying Australian kids online, and this guy," she glares intensely at the father. "This guy definitely watches. And for all we know those kids aren't even his." Izuku shifts his gaze to mother. The son could be the mailman's, daughter could be from her husband's stepfather, and the infant for all we know come from her brother. What was with that scenario? Luna quirked an eyebrow at him curiously. "Blame the SHT that Vox puts on TV these days." He let out a heavy annoyed sigh. Seriously? What happened to all the good shows that actually had effort behind it? Nowadays it's all the same show with different skins. Listen hun, humans are full of secret nasties. It's why so many of them end up down here in the first place. She quickly turns over to smile at Izuku, who raises a brow at her. No offense though. I'll get back at you later. But Moxie begins to speak again, only to be silenced by his wife cupping his cheeks. And I mean his face, not his, as you pervs. Guilty and innocent aren't our business, Mox. Killin', who we're paid to, is our business. She emphasizes her point by making him moth it with her. Shoot the target. She gives him a quick peck to the lips. If you make the shot, I'll let you choose the position we're in next time. Izuku winks at him, making him blush again. Sorry Mox, you are just too cute sometimes. There is a time and a place for flirting, Izzy. Millie deadpans slightly at his antics. And that's anywhere and anytime, Pumpkin. He playfully sticks his tongue out at her, to which she lets out a small giggle. Either way Mox, just take the shot before hijinks ensue. I just think it's a bit excessive, and we could be a bit more selective, is all. He says as he starts to aim his crossbow again. Guys! I want you to meet. Blitz barged into the room, slamming Tay door open, causing Moxie to accidentally fire an arrow. The arrow ricochets around the room. Millie jumps into Moxie's arms as the arrow hits a computer. The arrow then flies and creates a hole in the family picture that a stunned Izuku is holding as Luna ducks under his arm for protection. The arrow hits the bottom of a tank with eels and the tank starts to wobble dangerously. The arrow flies toward Mrs. Mayberry, but Blitz catches it with one hand. Our newest client. Blitz finished before the tank fell over, causing the eels to spill onto the floor, letting out a burst of electricity that set the room on fire. DMN it, Moxie. I just bought those eels. Oh, dear Satan. Izuku groans before snapping his fingers. Instantly, the fires were put out, but unfortunately the damage had already been done. Good work, kid. Blitz gave a small applause. Now, does anyone know if we have insurance or not? Because I am not paying for one of Moxie's screw-ups. I'll make some calls. Izuku sighs again as he pulls out his phone. His attention turned to their client as he did so. You want me to call a taxi while I'm at it, or would you like to stay in the waiting room, Miss Mayberry? She introduces, offering a handshake which he returns. And I think I'll take up the offer to stay in the waiting room. Alrighty then. Feel free to help yourself to our complimentary snacks and beverages. I do believe there should be some muffins left that I baked this morning, he says as he leads her to another room and opens the door for her. Such a gentleman. She smiled as she went in and took a seat inside. And, don't worry, we'll get that skank in less than 24 hours or your first kill is free. Blitz called out from across the room. And when do we get a waiting room for clients? And free SHT to give them? When I decided it would be good for impressions. Also, when did we start implementing that deal? Moxie spoke up, getting a glare from his boss, who angrily grabs his face. When you almost set fire to my office in front of a client, you f***ing DSHT. Blitz pushes him away. Now, someone please tell me that fancy book is still intact. You mean our only ticket to the other side? Luna doesn't look up from her phone as she pulls out the grimoire. Yeah. Got it. And that's why you're my favorite, Looney. Blitz smiles affectionately at his adopted daughter and pulls out a dog biscuit. You get a twet, now, he says in a baby talk voice as he holds it up to her. EW. Stop. She grimaces as Blitz throws the treat into the air and catches it with his tongue, like a frog. He pulls it into his mouth and chews. You're so gross. Luna opens the book to use the spell as Millie draws a pentagram with chalk on the wall. It glows red and creates a portal to the human world. Stop it. I get enough of that from my therapist. You need therapy. Izuku points out in a flat tone as Luna rolls her eyes and leaves. Now, let's go lick some ass. Blitz puts his hand on Moxie's face, who struggles to walk to Millie. The expression is, kick some as, Blitzo. Millie snaps her fingers at Blitzo as she walks through the portal. I didn't hear you complaining the other day, Mills. Izuku chuckled as he followed behind with Blitz right behind him. Mine's better. Ah, phuck, Moxie groans as he walks through the portal. All three imps and young demons stand in front of a small red house by the lake as the sun sets. Izuku let out a small whistle at the view before following behind the rest of the crew. Sneaking their way across the lawn and toward a large window on the th side of the house. That's gotta be her. Blitz chuckles darkly as he peers through the window. This is too easy. Moxie, do you want this one? Me? Moxie says, pleasantly surprised and excited to be able to get the target this time. Yeah, this one's simple enough for you to handle. He speaks as Moxie stands up and peers through the window. His face falls as he looks at the family having dinner. It's just a happy mother who just got out of the hospital. Martha and Ralphie affectionately rub each other's noses. Martha holds a dinner platter in her hand. Moxie hesitates at the window. Izuku peers in to take a look as well before letting out a slight sweat drop as he looks into the dining room. You snooze, you lose, Mox. Blitz sneers as he pulls out his rifle. Martha's face is seen in a reflector, her doe eyes wide and blinking innocently. And I've got ya, B. He smiles monstrously as he readies the shot. Wait, are we actually killing a family? No, don't. Be a puss. We're just killing a mother. Blitz says as he positions his rifle. We're ruining a family. His rifle clicks as he is about to fire. But hold on. Let's just think about it. Moxie lifts up Blitz's gun as he fires. The bullet hits a glass mirror inside the house. All four family members gasp in fear. What was that, Ralphie? I dunno, Martha. But, whatever it is, Ralphie grins evilly as he stands up holding a rifle in his hands. They're gonna be tomorrow night's dinner. Martha sets the platter on the table and pulls out another rifle. She drinks a glass of wine and smashes it onto the floor. Alright, kids. Guns out. The boy pulls out a small gun from his beaverskin hat. The girl pulls out another rifle. All of them have evil grins of sharp teeth. Looks like we got some rabbits to catch, young uns. Ralphie smirks as he gets closer to the window with his kin in tow. Meanwhile, Blitz is fuming in anger as Moxie starts looking about ready to have another panic attack. Izuku gulps nervously as he is trying to alert the other about what's happening. What the F was that, Moxie? Blitz yells as Moxie wheezes anxiously, eye twitching. He lets out a croak with his snake-like tongue out. He then falls to his knees, hands over his face. Guys, Izuku speaks softly as he ducks down. I'm sorry. They just seemed so wholesome and happy. Tears fall from Moxie's eyes as he takes more breaths. I panicked. Guys. Oh, who the F is innocent, Moxie? Blitz facepalms at his employee's stupidity. From the moment of BRTH, you're already a parasite leeching off your mama's tips. Get the F over yourself, you baby pee prune. Guys. What? The three look at him. We're in Texas. The moment he said this, a blast shot through the wall and hit Blitzo in the arm, black BLD flying out. A new hole. Scatter. Izuku, Blitz, and Millie flee the scene and Moxie hides in the bushes. Another hole appears and part of the wall explodes. Ralphie and Martha grin and leap through the large hole with guns drawn. Moxie peers out from the bushes and rapidly looks around. A child's hand grabs Moxie by his tail and he yelps. Ralphie gives chase after Millie, missing several shots as she backflips onto a small dock and dives into the pond. Growling in annoyance, he makes his way to the shallow waters with a glass bottle hand. Where'd you go, little critter? Y'all can't hide long from me. Millie is seen with her head above the water under the dock. A knife is in her mouth. Millie breaks through the dock and lands on it, with her knife and a grin. Ralphie swings a glass bottle and Millie runs behind him out of the way. Millie jumps up in the air, knife in both hands. Ralphie swings his bottle upwards, knocking Millie in the head. She cries out and falls to the ground. She struggles to stand, but collapses onto the dock. Her eyes twitch. Ralphie smiles evilly down at her as the cloudy sky spirals red. Moxie opens his eyes and gasps with a squeak to find himself tied to a stitched-up dead body in a chair. Moxie's face falls in fear as he looks at the girl and boy. Both their eyes are red and devious sharp grins form on their faces. Oh. Well, hello there, little ones. Aren't you cute? Moxie says as he tries to defuse the situation. It's nice to have a new critter to play with. The children spoke eerily, the boy finishing a moment after the girl. Moxie glances up in fear at a red light above him. The light reveals a human head high up and several limbs on plaques. The wooden walls are stained with red BLD. 2 plaques hold stitched-up faces of skin. A larger plaque displays a dead man with long white hair, arms crossed, eyes and teeth bulging out. His upper chest is connected to the plaque. A picture frame made of bones reveals another face made of skin inside it. Human skin is tacked to the wall with "Bless this mess" stitched onto it. Moxie looks and sees a dead human body on a platter in front of him, an apple in the human's mouth. Organs are in a nearby bowl. Oh, crumbs. It was at this moment he knew just how bad he f up. The scene cuts to 4 gunshots ringing out in the woods. Blitz dashes through a bush. Martha's evil laughter follows as Blitz runs through the forest. He slides down a hill and catches his breath at the bottom. The cold air reached his lungs, making him shiver in the dead of night. I know you're huttin', little devil. Martha sang with mad glee as she walked through the dark forest. Blitz takes deep breaths as he leans against a tree. His eyes go wide as he covers his mouth. A silhouette of Martha is shown walking through the woods. I promise that I can make that pain go real quick. Just come let Mama Martha put a bullet in your pretty little skull. Her voice echoed through the woods as she seemingly walked away. Blitz sighs in relief before his phone lets out a yelling ringtone. Blitz pulls out the yellow cell phone and it flips through the air. The phone has GFY written on it with a laughing devil emoji on it. He grumbles in annoyance as he saw just who would call him at such a bad time. DMN it. He nearly threw his phone away but caught it just in time to answer. Stolas. This is a really bad time. Call later, as. Stolas is shown relaxing in a bathtub. There are candles with blue flames around the tub. The floor has glowing astrological symbols on it. The curtains look like the starry night sky. Glowing constellations float around the room. Stolas holds an old rotary phone to his ear, in the shape of sunflowers. When isn't it a bad time, Blitzy? He smiled playfully as he sank into the waters, watching what was happening through the bubbles floating from his bath. What is it? Blitz asked in frustration. I've been meaning to follow up on our last little conversation regarding my grimoire. What did you just call me? Blitz questioned angrily as Stolas popped a bubble that had his visage in it. My book, Blitzy. The book I was given to do my job? That I have allowed you to use to do yours? Blitz looks scared as a rifle clicks. A bullet flies through the tree where Blitzo was moments before. A shadow of Martha with red eyes and mouth appears through the hole, causing him to remember this was not the time or place for this SHT. I can hear you, darlin'. Martha's glow-red eyes shined evilly. Shit. He quickly ran away in terror, all the while Stolas could give a SHT and a half and continued talking. I guess he has faith in Blitzy, but who knows? Anyway, I have been thinking. You know, I have been permitting you to access the mortal realm less than legally for quite some time now, but I do need it back to fulfill my duties. I was thinking, what if we worked out some kind of exchange? Favors for favors? Stolas runs his finger on the edge of the tub. He makes walking motions with his fingers as they begin to glow red. All the while, Blitz ran through the woods in order to find cover. A bullet hits a tree and Blitzo quickly ducks behind another one. Doesn't that sound enticing? You gotta stop using your fancy as rich people talk, okay? I'm trying to concentrate on not getting F in my A. He screams, clearly not wanting to deal with any of this CRP right now. Or ever. Especially when a bullet is fired and hits the other side of the tree he was hiding behind. Then, let me keep it simple. Once a month, on the full moon, you return the book to me, followed by a night of. Stola's eyes glow red and he lowers himself into the water with a lustful look, passionate FRNCTN, he leans over the edge of his bath with water spilling out. And you get to keep it all the rest of the time, hmm? Sounds fair, my little imp? Fine. Whatever. Oh, Blitzo. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to feel your slimy bleeped inside of my bleeped. To bleep the. Blitzo cringes and closes his eyes as Stolas rambles on about his lust for Blitzo. The back of a shotgun is quickly jammed at his throat, causing him to drop his phone. Stola's continued rambles are heard in the background. Gotcha. So, you're a little devil, huh? Come to drag me and my kin to hell? Well, not today, Satan. She presses the gun harder into Blitzo. Gonna send y'all back where you came from. The scene shifts to Moxie, who struggles to free himself from the rope, his hands tied behind his back. He looks up and gasps as he sees fires being lit from outside. A hangman's noose hangs from the wall. Millie! He shouts, worry starting to set in for his friends and loved ones. Both kids stare at Moxie with wide evil grins. Moxie grunts and struggles again. He notices the girl pull out a sharp knife. He looks at the blade and then glares with determination. The girl raises the knife and aims to kill him. But before she could use it, a faint sound of whistling was heard, making the children shiver in fear as Moxie breathes a slight sigh of relief. A demonic voice sent chills down their spines as the candles that dimly lit the room glowed a bright azure blue, the flames spurting into a blaze that blinded them. In that moment the two were knocked out and tied up instantly. Izuku appeared from the flames and Quickie went to untie Mox. Thanks, Izuku. He smiled slightly as he was handed a rifle. You can thank me later. Izuku grabs hold of a chair and throws it through the wall. Now let's go save our girl. Right. They race outside through the forest, where red symbols hang from tree branches. There are torches in rows and tents. A full moon appears in the sky. The camera pans down to reveal Millie and Blitz tied to a stake decorated with spikes at the top. Ralphie laughs as he pours gasoline on the ground under their feet. Nearby, a grinning Martha holds a torch in her left hand. I had that F shot. God damn it, Moxie. Blitz growled, thinking of ways he's gonna get back at him without firing him because let's face it, he can't fire Moxie. Both for plot and the fact he'd also lose another 2 employees as well. And where the F is that DMN kid? Oh, you don't need to worry about your little friends. Martha wears skull earrings, jeans, and a low-cut shirt with polka dots. Her eyes are red and her hair is thick and blonde. She spoke with a sickening smile as she carried a torch with her. They'll join you two as soon as our youngins are done playing. She laughs hoarsely as her husband finishes gathering tinder around the 2 imps. The couple smiling widely with their fangs on full display. Satan! We return your filthy creatures back to the pits of hell. Martha raises her torch as Blitzo and Millie struggle to free themselves. May the root of evil remain honored as we continue thy work. Martha grunts as she tosses the torch to the ground, where it lands under Blitzo and Millie. Evil laughter follows. The flames rise up around Blitzo and Millie, but they remain unharmed, leaving the married couple very confused. Yeah, that's not exactly how it works, lady. Sorry, your fire doesn't really hurt us, but, I mean, could fake it if that'll get your PP hard. Millie and Blitzo smirk. Martha stares confused. Oh. SHT. She rolled her eyes as she picked up her gun. Well, I'll just shoot you in your smart-ass mouth. That would be more effective, he said with a derpy smile that would definitely get him hit if they weren't tied up. Blitz! Martha laughs evilly again as she aims her rifle at the imps. Both imps close their eyes and flinch. Martha then yelps as a gunshot is heard. Martha's eye flies from her socket and she collapses to the ground. Moxie is shown holding his gun. Moxie! Millie cheered as he ran over to untie them. You're not gettin' your goddamn paycheck for this one, Mox. Blitzo falls down. Moxie and Millie smile at each other and embrace. Ralphie backtracks and trips over his wife's corpse. Quickly picks himself up to run away but is stopped by a very pissed Izuku who cracks his knuckles. Ralphie nervously tries to back away but before he could take another step Izuku punches him in the face, sending him back a few feet with some of his teeth hitting the ground. Unfortunately, he was still conscious and ran away afterwards. Oh, yeah, thanks. I'm fine. Blitz yelled sarcastically as he held his injured arm. Moxie ran to him and helped him get to his feet. I'm sorry, sir. I compromised our objective and put us in harm's way. It won't happen again. I promise. Apology accepted. He brought him into a hug and spoke in a low, threatening tone. But, if you ever pull a stunt like this again, I will F you and your wife. That's my job, Izuku whispered, appearing next to them suddenly, flashing a small glare at Blitz for a split second. Alrighty. Job well done. Now let's get off. I'll be doing plenty of that later. Izu says with a chuckle as Blitz pulls a gray and black horse toy from his chest. He puts it back and retrieves his cell phone. Yeah. Give me a moment. I need to get something I left at the house. Okay, fine. But, hurry up. Blitz rolled his eyes as he yelled into his phone. Lunaya. We're ready to come home, dear. I better go with him, Izuku says as he quickly follows behind Moxie. They ran through the woods with a determined look on his face. They even ran past Blitz's phone that Stolas had continued to rave over, not really noticing that no one was on the other end. Bleeped use while you and I and bleeped and jelly sandwiches all night. Izuku quickly hung up the phone and placed it in his pocket before the rant could go on any longer. After they reached the house, they found Ralphie releasing his kids and bringing them into his arms protectively. Moxie aimed his rifle at them with Izuku by his side cracking his knuckles. The father glaring at them with hatred and malice. Don't move. What are you gonna do, little guy? Kill us? I should. You people are monsters. But you should have a chance at a life and a purpose. Look at your children. They have their whole future ahead of them. You are going to face your crimes justly. Ralphie and the kids look at one another in confusion as they watch Moxie pick up the supposed phone, with Izuku eyeing them the whole time. I will call your earthly authorities, and they will make sure you are dealt with fairly. I'm handling this my way. Moxie presses a button and the television turns on. Moxie looks surprised and glances behind him. Oh, SHT. Do you have a phone to summon 911? Moxie glances at the TV remote, the buttons looking like eyes and a face. Yeah, it's in the kitchen. He points a thumb towards the other room. I'll get it, Izuku says as he walks out the room. Then what is this for? Moxie questioned in confusion. It's a universal remote. Got it for the kids. Ralphie hugs them as Moxie smiles, eyes shining. Oh woo. He cooed, touched by the parental affection. Okay, good news. Izuku made his way back into the room. Cops are coming and they might be willing to hear out a plea deal. Then again, we're in Texas. What's the bad news? They might not listen. Izuku sighed heavily as he looked at the family. Best case scenario, big man. Here is either getting the death penalty or life in prison if he's lucky, and the kids will likely be given years of psychiatric treatment in a mental hospital before getting the chance at real lives. So long as you say you and your wife forced them to participate in all of this, he said, gesturing to pretty much the entire house. More or less true. So yeah. Just hang out on the lawn with your hands up and you should be fine. Just say you had a change of heart or some SHT. What's the worst case? You're all gonna die and I'll be seeing you in hell later on. Izuku thought for a minute. And if that's the case, find your wife and head to the cannibal colony. Tell them Green sent you and you should be okay. The two were set to leave, but before he exited he looked back at the small family. His eyes drifted all over the room and all the memories they had made. This man took his son fishing. Martha had helped her daughter make her own costumes for a school play. They may have been monsters, but they were still a family that shared a great and important bond. No matter what happens, you are getting another chance. He looks at them with an almost pleading look. Don't waste it. For your sake. With that he ran out of the building at the sight of flashing lights in the distance. Soon they had rejoined Blitz and Millie back on the hill. The latter of the two looked at them with a more worried expression. There they are. Blitz called out with a big grin. You two have a good time rearranging guts? Excuse me? Moxie raised an eyebrow while Izuku simply stared at their boss unimpressed. Look, I don't care where you two come in the living world. Just come to your job on time, alright? Blitz pokes him several times for emphasis. See you all at the office, he laughs as he jumps through the portal. You doing okay, sweetie? Millie asked, cupping his cheek affectionately. Better now, honey. I think I just needed a minute to process. He smiled as he held her hand close. You have a good heart, honey. She touches his chest before playfully pinching his nose. Just a fuzzy head. Millie kisses Moxie, to which he smiles lovingly at her as she walks through the portal. She's right, you know that, Mox? Izuku says as he is about to go through. It's just one of the reasons I like you so much. I know. He smiles as he looks up at him and grabs his hand. And Izuku, I never did give you proper thank you. He pulls him down low enough for him to reach and places a kiss to his cheek, surprising him before he smiles at him. As he was about to say something, the sounds of sirens caught their attention. They turned around and saw 2 police cars and a helicopter outside the house. One officer spoke loudly over a loudspeaker. We got 'em, boys. A helicopter fires a missile through the roof and the house explodes in a massive inferno. They were left stunned by this as they looked at one another. Something hits Moxie in the head before they could say anything. Looking down to see what is left of the girl's teddy bear head. I expected this, yet somehow I am still surprised. Izuku mutters to himself with a small feeling of guilt. The two were so caught up that they failed to notice Blitz grabbing them by their collars and dragging them through the portal. The final scene cuts to Mayberry and the imps celebrating their victory. A white banner reads, "Killed the bee," in red letters. Luna and Mrs. Mayberry are holding pieces of cake on their plates. "We did it," smiley face, is written on the cake in light blue icing. Blitzo has his arm in a sling. Everyone is wearing party hats. Everyone laughs and cheers except Moxie, who sits with a distressed look on his face. Ah, did you see my little Mox? Millie yelled excitedly as she hugged her husband. Yay! Mayberry and Blitz cheered while Izuku tried to clear his head from the shock. Well, here's to another mission accomplished. And Moxie finally learned not to F up. And killin' people isn't that big of a deal if they try to kill you back. That's messed up. But, I paid for it, everyone except Moxie and Izuku laughs. Yeah, F that family. Blitz yelled happily with a fist pump. Hey, Mrs. Mayberry? Izuku spoke up, getting her attention. You were a school teacher, right? Yeah, why? She questioned as she took another bite of her cake. You got a FTSH or something? You wanna work for me? I need someone I can more or less trust to teach my kids. She seemed genuinely shocked by the question. What's the catch? Just that you'll have to live in my fiancé's hotel and participate in her program. Izuku explained while thinking of ways to sweeten the deal. You get room and board with top-notch protection from a couple of the most powerful beings in hell. while also getting to do something that you loved doing in the past. I guess you have a point. She thought it over for a few seconds before shrugging. You know what, sure. I hate my current living situation anyway. Deal? Izuku offers her a handshake, his hand having a faint blue glow that goes unnoticed. Deal. She shakes his hand, feeling a strange sense of warmth coursing through her body for a moment. They separate afterward and Mayberry notices something strange. A mark that has appeared on the back of her hand resembles a bird. That's so people know not to mess with you. Proof that you're under my protection. She continued to stare at it for a few seconds longer before letting out a small laugh. Thank you. Don't mention it. Izuku was currently in the trees, hiding from the humans who had spotted them thanks to Moxie's actions. Izuku hid in the cover of darkness, eyeing the surrounding area closely. Unsure of where he should go now. His thoughts were cut short however as his phone began ringing at him. I really need to put this on vibrate when I'm on missions. He thought to himself as he answered it. Hey there. Sorry but this is a really bad time, Stella. When isn't it a bad time, darling? Back in hell, in the Goetia Palace located just outside of Imp City where one of Izuku's lovers, Stella, resided. Her voice was teasing and elegant as she spoke to him. In her private room, she relaxed in a bath with many scented candles lit around her. She held her cell phone to her ear as she giggled to herself. I know this is sudden but I was hoping that I could speak to you more about our arrangement. She playfully splashed some water around her as she massaged herself. After all, it's just been so long since we've seen one another. Stella, we met up a few days ago. Really? It's felt more like years. Izuku listened to her laughter with a sigh, which quickly turned into a gasp as a gunshot zoomed past him and destroyed a nearby branch. Cursing under his breath, he moved swiftly through trees as Stella continued to talk. Anyway, you see, Stolas is preparing a little deal with that imp of his and I got to thinking about what we could do together. Well, I guess that makes sense. He whispered as he heard another gunshot not too far away. But seriously, can we please talk about this later? Kinda in the middle of a situation here. Then I'll keep this brief, she said as Izuku noticed something about his phone. Instead of being a simple audio call, Stella had switched it to video. She smirked as she propped herself up on the edge of her tub, showing off her moistened body that would normally send him into a mood. Once a month during the full moon, Stolas will bring that imp for his activities, so as such during that same day, we can stay at my beachside villa in Envy to have our fun. Along with proper dates and passionate FRNCTN bi-weekly at the very least. As she spoke, she planned her camera over her form as her free hand traced her curves. Her fingers stopped between her legs before she brought them up to her mouth and licked them slightly, smirking as she began playing with her soft fluffy feathery melons for him. Sounds fair, Daddy? Oh, look at you being so naughty, he smirked as he watched her shiver through the video. I bet you can't wait for me to strap you down again. Oh yes, Daddy. I want you to tie me down as you bleep my bleep with your bleep all night long with MSTRS whipping my bleep as my bleep is stuffed with your bleep for days on end. Well, you'll just have to wait for Daddy like a good girl, he teased her playfully with a lustful smirk. I'll see you soon, my little star, you better behave. I will, Daddy, I promise. The call ended, leaving Izuku to ponder by himself for a bit. Well, at least she didn't want to talk about that arrangement. But it's likely gonna come up later. He sighed as he rubbed his temple. Problem for future me. Time to save the day right now. It was a new day here in Pentagram City, and it was still as shitey as ever. The streets were on fire, sinners were fighting and F all over, and the Hellborns were all too happy to join them. Although, there were two areas in the Pride Ring that were actually a bit more orderly. The first being the cannibal colony, home to the one and only Rosie, who made sure all her cannibals and cannibettes were all well behaved. In a strange sense, but that's a story for another time. The other was an area that wasn't that far away from the cannibal colony, just a quick drive in fact. The streets were clean, the sinners there were in a surprisingly calm state and Hellborns from all walks of life enjoying their day. Many of them were simply out for a stroll or on their ways to or from work. It was such a mundane slice of life that one could almost forget that they were demons in hell. Almost. If one were to walk through the streets, they would notice that each of the citizens had one thing in common. Each of them had a symbol, whether it be stitched into their clothing or exposed on their skin like a tattoo. A mark that resembled a burning flame with a bird head that was at its center. The symbol of the overlord who owned this section of the pentagram. The symbol of the Flare district. Meanwhile, at the Hazbin Hotel, which stood on the very top of a hill that was at the highest point of the district, was now preparing to open its doors for their very first occupant. Which was going about as well as many would expect with all the colorful characters who resided there. Niffy! Stop putting holes in the walls! Vaggie yelled from atop a ladder where she was fastening the end of a banner to the wall. Must get the bugs! You can't hide from me! The maid let out a gremlin noise as she continued to jam her knife into the walls. Eventually leading to her making one large enough for her to put her face in, which she did. Here's Niffy! She smiled viciously as the bugs huddled together in fear. Okay. That's enough. Izuku chimed in as he grabbed her by her arms, causing her to dangle like a cat. Niffy, sweetie, you can't keep doing this. But how can I get my job done if the pests keep hiding? I must clean. I understand that, but don't you see what you're doing? He held her in his arm as he gestured over to the floor that was now covered in wood chips and pieces of insulation. You're making a bigger mess and making your job harder. Oh. I didn't mean to. She muttered with a slight pout that was almost adorable. I know, Nifty. Izuku set her back down to the ground and gave her a pat on the head. Now just clean it up and patch the holes. If you see any bugs, use this. He handed her a fleecewater, which she took gleefully as she went about her business. How are you able to do that? Husk questioned from behind his bar as he sorted through all his supplies. Do what? Talk her down from her usual SHT. Alaster can't even do that. Husk exclaimed as he witnessed such a deed. Nor does he try to. He muttered as he continued his drinking. It was 5 o'clock somewhere after all. I just talked to her and she listens. I honestly don't see what the fuss is all about. Izuku shrugged with a small smile. Niffy isn't that bad once you get to know her. Izuku, I love you, but seriously? Vaggie deadpanned as she climbed down from the ladder. She chewed through our door so she could sneak into our bed. I repeat. Chewed. I said she's not bad, not great. It's all a work in progress. Izuku's sweat dropped as he watched the manic maid maniacally mash multiple mountains of roaches she had gathered with her trusty tool. One that she was currently snuggling against when her eyes caught his with a heavy blush on her face. She laid on your pee-pee and sniffed your junk all night long. She even tried to give you some special service while you were still asleep. Vaggie continued with an air of annoyance as she spoke. I'll talk to her about that. He sighed as he noticed Angel carrying a few boxes. Oh, did my deliveries get here already? Yup. They must have rushed it knowing it was you. Angel said as he set them off to the side. Seriously though, why are you guys getting in a tizzy over this? How can we not? Charlie exclaimed, appearing out of nowhere and shocking the group. She was carrying boxes filled with all sorts of decorations and party supplies. She was wearing a party hat with several ribbons and streamers tangled up in her hair. This is going to be our very first actual resident. We have to make a great impression. She rushed off in a dash as she threw many of the streamers into the rafters above. Some even narrowly missed Alaster, who was watching everything going on. Izuku couldn't help but let out an amused laugh as he watched Charlie dance around the lobby. What the hell am I then? Angel asked with a slightly narrowed gaze. To which Izuku let out a nervous chuckle. Angel, you are an appreciated part of this group and have been an adequate help in getting this place off the ground. However, you do tend to, Izuku began before struggling to find the right words. Thankfully Vaggie was there to step in. You don't take anything seriously. You're constantly coming back drunk, high, and reek of section. You spend so much of your time partying or at work that you don't even attempt to try changing. Not to mention the constant SEC jokes that border on harassment. Then you actually attempt harassing Izuku. Not my fault he has such a great as. It is a great as, but that's besides the point. Vaggie groaned slightly with a facepalm. I swear the only redeeming quality you have is that you help with the girls. Which I am still against it, but they seem to like you. Wow. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Toots. Angel walked away from them, leaving the two lovers alone now. Vaggie, that may have been a little harsh. Izuku winced slightly at the interaction. Harsh, but it needed to be said. I agree with you, but I still think you aren't giving him enough credit. Izuku sighed as he pulled out his phone. I gotta go pick up Mayberry. Barbie should be back soon with the girls and the food will be here in about an hour or so. You know you didn't have to order takeout. We could have cooked something easily enough. I know, but I figured we might as well splurge a bit on such a special occasion. He grabbed Vaggie by the waist and gave her a kiss. I'll see you all when I get back. Call if I need to pick up anything while I'm out. Okay, hun. Love you. She smiled as she gave him a hug before he left. I love you more. He smiled lovingly as he began walking out. Love you lots, Aizu. Charlie yelled excitedly as she ran at him for a hug. Being caught in his arms and giving one another a kiss. I knew it was a good idea for you to get that job. Yeah, it was. He kissed her again before setting her down. I'll see you a bit, apple pie. Keep that CC as in control while you're out. She yelled just as he left out the door. Izuku groaned heavily in annoyance as he was driving through the streets of the city. The roads in the Flare district were typically clean, most of the time, and fighting was at a bare minimum. Unfortunately, the literal moment he left the district he was met with tons of fire, bombs, bullets, and severed limbs of all kinds. Making his trip to be slightly harder than it needed to be. Finding clearer roads wasn't all that terrible, especially since many sinners immediately recognized his car and began cleaning out the street so he got through. Sometimes being an overlord really did have its perks. Especially when he's driving a customized 1970 Plymouth Barracuda outfitted with some of the best technology of the Pride Ring, courtesy of a very close friend. Enough about that, Izuku was simply getting to the other side of Pentagram City where most of the buildings were a wreck. Mostly due to the massive amounts of violence that constantly occurred and the fact there were barely any construction companies that were willing to go over there due to the sinners who controlled the area. So needless to many of Hell's newest residents resided there until they could get their footing with their new afterlives. He soon found his way to the address he was given. To which he was met by the sight of a building that was missing an entire chunk of its upper floors and was spewing out water and sparks of electricity. Needless to say he was appalled by the sight and understood why Mayberry said she hated her living conditions. Luckily, Mayberry had already been waiting out of the sidewalk near the road with her few belongings that she had. Please tell me you weren't staying on any of the top floors. He grimaced as he got out of his car. Right on cue, one of the rooms near the top of the building blew up with several body parts being launched away. I wasn't. The super here was nice enough to give me a deal on one of the decent apartments. She let out a small awkward chuckle. Yeah, I don't even want to know. You definitely don't. Is this all you have? He asked as he stared at the 3 small boxes that she had with her. Yeah, I haven't really been down here that long to actually have anything. She said as she picked up a box. Izuku grabbed the other 2 and went to the car. Well, that won't do at all. Izuku commented as he quickly pulled out his phone and sent a quick text. Just texted my fiancé, so you guys are gonna schedule a good date to do a bit of shopping. You don't need to trouble yourselves with that. But we want to. And you really can't say no since she just agreed. He smirked a bit as they loaded into the car. Also, you don't happen to have any food allergies, do you? None that I know about. Why? Oh, I just got a text from the restaurant asking if there were any last-minute changes that I needed to make. He hummed as he looked over his order. Anything specific you would like me to add? No thank you. I don't want to be a bother. Nonsense. We over at the Hazbin Hotel spare no expense for our residents to feel the utmost comfort for their courage to partake of the path of redemption. He smiled widely, sounding like a spokesperson you see on TV. Besides, I already kind of ordered a rather large portion of just about everything on the menu. And have been baking pies and cakes for dessert all morning. That sounds really expensive, she says with widened eyes as she just stares at him in shock. Now I'm starting to feel a bit guilty. You all really didn't go through so much. It was mostly Charlie's idea to have a good impression. Izuku nervously chuckled while scratching the back of his head. She really wanted to make you feel welcomed. I would have been happy with just a hello or maybe a coffee, Mayberry said, still slightly stunned at how much effort they were putting in for her. Her depression turned sour as her mind soon wandered into her once fond memories. It's more than that prick ever did for me, she mumbled to herself. Izuku overheard her comment and grimaced lightly as he remembered her story. He wanted to say something but ultimately decided against it. The two sat in silence for a few minutes. It was awkward to say the least. That is until Mayberry decided to resume the conversation. So, your kids? She began getting his attention. Is there anything I should know before I start planning lessons? Well, my daughters can be a bit on the energetic side, but that's to be expected. Our oldest, Eri, is a bit shy, but she should be able to open up to you fairly well if you can keep her spirits up. Her best subjects are science and math, but she struggles with English. Easy enough, I should be able to set up some fun projects that I think she'll thrive in. She gave a soft smile, happily thinking about how she can relive the joys her job brought her in her previous life. And the others? The middle child is our little pup, Kane. She has a tough time sitting still and really likes to be active. She can have a tough time learning sometimes, but if you can keep your lessons entertaining, I know she can thrive, Izuku explained, getting a nod from the teacher. Then lastly there is Tilla, she's the youngest at only 3 years old. She is also quite smart for her age, but you don't have to worry about her just yet. Her mothers will be the ones mostly taking care of her, but will still be relying on you if need be. Well, I hope to live up to your expectations. You'll be fine. You've been teaching for a while, so I trust your judgment, he says, giving her a bright smile that causes a blush to form on her face. I didn't really notice before, but her blush deepens as she continues to stare at him. He's really cute. She quickly attempts to shake it off as if it were nothing. I know how much you love teaching. I could see the excitement in your eyes when I brought it up. He continued to smile as he drove, the road soon clearing, indicating where they were. It's nice to know that there are still people down here who still carry their passion. Mayberry had a soft smile on her face as he listened to his words. She really couldn't look him in the eye at the moment and simply looked down at her lap. Her blush refused to recede as she started nervously brushing her hair back out of her face. Her attention was soon drawn to the city outside, with her eyes widening at the drastic differences from the other parts of the city. That's part of the reason I established my district here. He smiled as he drove, waving at the occasional pedestrians who waved his way. Why your district? He stuttered out as she gazed at the scenery passing by. Even getting a few waves from the folks they were passing by. Yup. I know you haven't been here too long to learn the basic hierarchy, but down here there are some big bosses that control the Pride Ring, he explained as he continued to drive. One of those overlords just so happens to be yours truly. That actually explains some things, she muttered to herself as she gained a worried expression. Something happened? Just had a small run-in with some weird talent agent at a bar not too long ago, she became downtrodden as she gazed out the window. They had gotten word of some of the stuff I did and said that they had connections with some big honcho. Val something, I think he said. And knowing that pest, he wouldn't take no for an answer. He grit his teeth in annoyance just imagining the headache that insect would cause him. And I guess you declined his offer? He seemed mad, but I told him I'd consider it. Not long after a part of the complex I was in blew up in smoke. Well, you dodged a bullet. More than a bullet, you basically dodged an entire firing squad. Izuku said with a faint growl that made her confused. Anyway, we're here now, he said before she could question any more. They exited the car with the Mayberry's boxes floating behind them as they made their way to the door. Of course, she was nervous to say the least. After all, she was about to meet her new employers and things could get hairy fast if she didn't make a good impression. She was fidgeting in place as she watched him open the door. Before it was even a crack open as a flash of red flew into her view. "Welcome to the Hazbin Hotel," Charlie yelled happily as she wrapped the woman in a very tight hug. The taller blonde even lifted her off the ground and twirling a bit. "I know that you are going to absolutely love it here." She soon put the teacher down who, despite being fairly dizzy, couldn't help but let out a small giggle at Charlie's excitement. Especially with her wide toothy grin and starry-eyed expression that was undeniably adorable. Needless to say, after that display her words had melted away. Come. Come. I have so much to show you." Charlie had begun dragging Mayberry into the lobby and stopping at varying spots in the room. "Welcome to our home of healing. The resort of restoration. Your new temporary slice of heaven before hopefully getting there." And now Mayberry was back to being dizzy again. Now with a bit of a sore arm thanks to the surprisingly strong woman. Not to mention the little debacle had garnered the attention of several of the other occupants who were now staring in their direction. Most of them with soft smiles while others were just plain uninterested. Hello everyone." Mayberry greeted them with a small wave. "I'm Mara Mayberry and I hope we can get along." She nervously chuckled. "So you're the one who is gonna be teaching my girls?" Her gaze was drawn down to an imp woman who was looking over her up and down with a small glare. "You seem decent enough. But I have my eye on you." Barbie, you are so cute when you try to be intimidating," Izuku cooed as he grabbed her into his arms. Making her blush a heavy shade of scarlet, shattering her facade almost instantly. "Babe. Come on." She pouted with her arms crossed, her tail swaying ever so slightly in enjoyment. "I was practicing my protective mommy glare for hours." "Don't pout, kitten." He gave her a short kiss before hugging her tightly. "I just can't resist when you get so protective like that. It fills me with so much joy seeing how much you love our little cherubs." "Almost as much as you fill me up?" she questioned with a sultry look in her eyes. "Absolutely." They kissed again, but a cough from Vaggie quickly stopped them. "Papa and Mama are flirting again," Eri said as she held on to Vaggie's hand with Akane right behind her and Tilla in her arms. "Mommy and Daddy never learn, do they?" Akane questioned with a head tilt. "Oh, okay then." Barbie quickly leaps out of his arms and tries to adjust herself. "Well, that was a warm but either way welcome." "Teacher?" Tilla asked, gesturing over to Mayberry, who was starting to recover from the heavy blush that adorned her face from watching the loving display. "Yes, sweetie. She's gonna be teaching your sisters while she's here," Vaggie explained with a small smile. "And she's also gonna be participating in our program," Charlie exclaimed as she excitedly bounced, getting a few laughs from the girls. "Teacher, pretty," the toddler exclaimed with a big smile, making Mayberry smile softly. "Thank you, Tilla." Mayberry smiled warmly, feeling a sense of joy returning to her as she was met by Eri and Akane walking over to her. "Hello there, little ones. It's nice to meet you." She knelt down to them with a smile. "We made you a card," Eri said as she handed her said card. The card itself was very simple as it read, "Welcome Teacher," on it, but it still made her smile as she looked over the various decorations that were on it. From apples with smiling faces on to many stars and moons dotting the page. There were even some rainbows drawn on there, even though some of them had some mismatched colors on them, but it was cute either way. "And we made necklaces too," Akane said as she held up a few beaded charm necklaces. "Can I put them on you?" Mayberry smiled even wider at this gesture. She nodded as bowed her head to the small pup to put them on her. Though she did struggle a bit due to the horns, they made it work. Afterwards, she let out a small laugh as she played with some of the charms. "Thank you very much, girls. I promise I will treasure these forever. She smiled happily with the children returning the gesture. This is so wholesome. Angel commented, but his expression was nothing but sour. I think I'm gonna hurl rainbows after this. Not a fun experience. Husk said as he continued downing his umpteenth bottle of cheap booze. Way to ruin the moment, boys. Izuku deadpanned at the two who shrugged him off. Well, I guess we should get introductions out of the way. You've already met my fiancé Charlie. Hello again. And this cutie patootie is our girlfriend Vaggie. She smiled as she wrapped her into a hug. Nice to meet you. Vaggie greeted, a small blush on her cheeks due to Charlie's antics. You've already met me. Barbie waved as was now holding Eri and Akane in her arms. We also have another girlfriend, but she isn't here right now due to work. That must SCK, huh? Mayberry let out a tired sigh, remembering all the times her ex-husband had left her all by her lonesome due to business trips. It does, but she'll be back in a few days. I think you and V are gonna get along well though. Izuku said with a smile. Plus she'll be able to help you with the girls. That'll be nice. Anyway. Izuku continued as he led her to the bar. This fluffy boy is Husk, our wonderfully well-experienced bartender, and frankly the closest this place has to a therapist. Because every drunk wants to yap their gums at the bartender. Husk groaned while flipping the bird before returning to his job. And if you want a therapist, why don't you find one? Because almost every therapist that's down here is here because they use their skills to manipulate people. Izuku groaned, remembering all the interviews he had to go through. I mean, there are plenty of Hellborn, but I figured a sinner would help people open up. That, and because patients could get unruly so a sinner would survive. Hellborns not so much. Charlie shuddered as she was also involved in many of those interviews. I don't think I can remember another time I saw Izuku's flames so much. And here we have our only other resident, Angel Dust? Like the drag? Exactly. How do you know that anyhow? Angel asked with a small smirk as he ate on one of his popsicles. I was a troubled child. She admits with a sorrowful expression. I hear that. Was the porn star's response. And lastly we have our dutiful housekeeper, Nifty. Izuku introduced, getting the maid's attention. She immediately rushed over in a flash, showing off her ruffled-up uniform that was currently covered in what used to be bugs. She had a wide smile on her face that unsettled her before she jumped onto her, going through every accessible nook and cranny of her body excitably. After about a minute she stopped and latched onto her chest. Hello. I clean. She said menacingly, staring into her eyes. We're about 85% sure she's harmless. Charlie said with a slight sweat drop. Izuku chuckled as he grabbed the short woman off the teacher. I finished cleaning. Nifty giggled as she latched onto Izuku and nuzzled up close. Did I do a good job? Am I a good girl? She asked with a wide smile. Yes, Nifty. You did a great job. I see you used the swatter I gave you. He said as he gave the maid a head pat, which caused her the sake and shiver upon contact. But look at you. You're all dirty now. I'm a mess? She stuttered out, looking about ready to cry. No. No, no, no. Calm down, Nifty. He gently patted her head to soothe the unstable woman. I'm just worried, I don't want you to get sick or hurt. Really? Of course. So how about you go take a nice warm bath, okay? You earned it for being such a good girl. He mentally chided himself for talking to her like that, but he knew it was necessary. Okay. I'll go get super clean for you. She smiled widely, making him a bit unnerved. She immediately grabbed his face and planted her lips to his, shocking him and most of the others watching. Love you, Daddy. She yelled as she dashed away to her room. Is that a common occurrence around here? Mayberry squeaked out with a blush on her face. Yeah, Izuku's the only one that keeps her relatively stable. Vaggie said with a bit of annoyance. I didn't ask for it. Izuku cried in exasperation with the others just staring at him. Anyway, where's Alaster? Who knows? That venison freak does as he pleases with no warning at all. Husk grumbled while cleaning a glass. Well, I guess we'll just have to introduce him later, Izuku said, not really caring, before returning his attention to their new guest. And if you happen to come across him, make sure the mark I gave you is visible. What? Why? She raised an eyebrow. So he won't make a deal with you? Husk growled angrily, slamming a glass to the counter, causing a bit of a stir to occur upon the onlookers. I'll tell you from experience, no matter what he offers, don't give him an inch. Anything you could gain is not worth a DMN being entangled with all his BS. Angel looked at the winged feline with a mask of indifference, hiding how he actually felt about it. Izuku stared at him with a look of worry that made it very apparent for his one-time friend. Charlie was scared slightly and was now hanging onto Vaggie from the shock, who leveled a glare at the cat for his outburst. The girls were also frightened, but Eri quickly left the room and went into the kitchen. Before any of them could question it, she came out with a cupcake in hand that was haphazardly decorated to look like a cat. A cat bared a striking resemblance to Husk himself. She went behind the counter and held it up to him with a small smile on her face. "Sorry, kid," he said softly as he took the confection from the child. He didn't really think much of it, but then she hugged him, much to his surprise. There? He patted her head nervously. "You have soft paws," Eri said with a small giggle that caused everyone in the room to smile. Even Husk cracked a grin at it. "Well, enough depressing CRP," Barbie voiced out to cut the moment short. "Yeah. Let's eat," Charlie shouted as she gestured to the table filled with food. "You weren't kidding when you said you ordered a lot." Mayberry stared in disbelief at the long buffet tables in the lobby. "Also, when did those get here?" "Magic. Dibs on the Wellington," Akane barked excitedly as she went towards the table. "Pace yourself, sweetie," Vaggie yelled in worry as she followed after her. "Heck yeah. Let's party," Angel shouted as he held an entire tray of lasagna. "Angel. Save some for everyone." "Never. What did I get myself into?" Mayberry sighed, but she couldn't help but smile at the excitement unfolding. The episode opens to a shot of the exterior of a large palace at night, before cutting to the MSTR bedroom where the married couple of Stolas and Stella of the Ars Goetia are asleep. "Mummy! Daddy!" The frightened child's voice roused Stolas from his sleep. He blinks a few times before he turns to Stella, who has most of the blanket. "MMPH, Via's calling us, Stella," he groggily said to his wife, who groaned at him. "You get up," she said in an annoyed tone as she took more of the blanket. Stolas let out a heavy sigh before he removed himself from the bed. Frankly, he was glad to get away from her for a short while, but he needed to focus. Putting on his robe, he quickly made his way to his daughter's room, entering softly, seeing his child hiding under the covers of her bed. "Via? What troubles you, my owlet?" "Daddy! Daddy!" The young Octavia climbs down from her bed and runs into her father's arms. Stolas hoists her up to comfort her. "I had a dream. A really bad dream. A nightmare," he corrected with a small yawn as he carried her back to her bed. "I was looking all over the palace, and I couldn't find you anywhere. You weren't there," she sobbed as she hugged her father tighter. There, Via, it's okay. You're okay." He gently rubbed her back as his grimoire began floating beside him. "When you're scared, and you don't know where I am, you must remember, no matter what happens to me, I will never be far away from my special little Starfire." His lullaby finished, Stolas leaves as his young daughter settles to sleep, content. Cut to several years later, where a teenage Octavia is jolted awake by smashing objects and her parents screaming at each other, far less content. Sitting up with a scowl as she started yet another morning with her dysfunctional family. "You inconsiderate BSTRD!" She heard her mother scream, followed by the sound of something smashing. "Do you have any idea how much work I put into that?" I'm sorry. It wasn't my idea. Stolas could be heard frantically trying to explain himself. I was blindfolded and dragged in there. I didn't know which room I was in. I promised net time to just go to a motel. A motel? Like AF plebeian? Stella yelled out once again, followed by even more sounds of destruction. You can't even have the decency to own up to your own SHT. Octavia, no longer wanting to hear her parents argue, grabs her phone and puts in earbuds, playing "My World is Burning Down Around Me" to tune out the screaming. It didn't help all that much, but she continues to stride down the halls of the Goetia estate, stepping over the smashed remains of a plant thrown in her path. In the kitchen, Stella continues screaming at Stolas. You miserable leviathan-sized ass. Stella yells as she grabs an imp servant and violently tosses him in Stola's direction. I promise I'll have everything replaced. Stolas cries as he narrowly dodges the servant. You better. She yells out, almost on the verge of tears, as she quickly leaves the room. I'm not spending another moment looking at your pathetic, MPNG face. Stella storms out of the room, shouting angrily. The entire time, and smashing more potted plants. Stolas sighs in exhausted exasperation before he notices his daughter has entered the kitchen. He couldn't help but let out a massive sigh as he watched her leave. Along with just how much trouble she is causing for their servants. Does she even realize how hypocritical she sounds? He rolled his eyes as she soon focused his attention on his daughter. Good morning, Octavia. Did you sleep well, my owlet? Was that a serious question? She asked sarcastically before sipping on her cup of liquid sanity. Satan knows she's gonna need it. What's that you're listening to? Stolas inquires as he opens the refrigerator to retrieve a massive chunk of zebra meat. This song is called My World is Burning Down Around Me. Beat it's by F.U. Dad. She says as Stolas looks down, thinking the name of the band his daughter mentioned is a hurtful remark. It's a band. Oh. How charming, he said with a bemused tone. Grabbing the zebra meat and feeds it to a massive potted plant situated in a small alcove off the kitchen as he pets it. Sated, it falls dormant, closing its 3 eyes. So, you two done screaming for the day? Stella lets out another scream of anger and another potted plant is heard shattering in the distance. You know what I haven't done in a long time? I haven't taken you to your favorite place in all of hell. Why don't we go to Lululand? I'm not 5 anymore. She grumbled, knowing that he wasn't listening at all. You always were so happy when I took you to Lululand. What do you say we go there again, have a day, just the 2 of us? He says hopefully, gesturing to a large picture beside them. One of a young Octavia with a wide smile with an equally happy Stolas and Stella who was rolling her eyes but smiled nonetheless. I'd rather end myself. She said flatly, wanting nothing more than to be emo anywhere other than there. There we go. Anything but staying in this house. Now, I'll arrange our security. Stolas picks up a phone carried on a platter by his now bruised and battered servant. Security for a theme park? She raised an eyebrow, wondering why it was she could never recall seeing any security on the trips during her childhood. We are rich, and we're hot. People want our money and our bodies. Our money, maybe. Octavia grumbles as she grabs a box of cereal on the table and begins shoveling handfuls into her mouth. There will be someone who'll longing you soon enough, princess. He whispers to himself as he typed the number in the phone. Now I'm calling the only man who can F me. What? She said with disgust as she dropped the cereal in her hand. Who can protect me? Us. He immediately began to backpedal away from that topic. Being part of the Goetia family is rather valuable, you know. He says, causing Octavia to groan as she pulls her beanie over her face. Cut to IMP where Blitz is busy doing very important work in his office, involving crude representations of Millie and Moxie made out of office supplies that he puppets around and speaks with. Between them is a framed photo of Blitz with a robe pulled down off his shoulders seductively and a flower between his teeth. The text reads, Number 1B, with boss written in red over it. Oh, Blitz. You're such a good boss. He impersonated Millie before moving on to Moxie. Yeah, I really want you, sir. Me, too. He finally started talking normally. Let's three-way. Blitz lowers his employees below his desk to PP level, looking momentarily pleasured before being interrupted by the ringing of his hell phone. What? Why, hello, my big D Blitzy, Stolas said lustfully, which caused both Blitz and Octavia to spit out their coffee in sheer surprise. Blitz slams his boss beat mug onto his desk. What? The F? Dad? Language, everyone. He says calmly before returning to the phone. I have a special request. Look, I just had a chemical peel. So, you'll have to find someone else's face to plant that feathered as. It's for my daughter. He really should have worded that better. Well, make sure she washes it and I'll send the kid over. Blitz said as he placed the tiny crown on top of his head. No. No. He stutters out, taken aback by the statement. I'm taking my daughter to Lulu Land, and I was hoping you brave little imps and Midoriya would accompany us. We're assassins, not bodyguards, K? Don't invite us to SHT unless someone's gonna die. Blitz says as he continues to drink his coffee. Well, the kid probably would. I'll pay you, Stola said playfully, hoping to grab his attention. Pay me what? He asked back, knowing full well that he need to ask it when it comes to Stolas. Money. Done. Blitzo hangs up and accidentally slams his phone down on the desk hard enough to smash it to pieces. After a brief annoyed glance at it, he pulls out a megaphone. M. Kid, get in here. We're going to Lulu Land. Lulu Land? Moxie opens the door to respond in a confused manner. Lulu Land? Millie excitedly smashes her head straight through the office door's glass with stars in her eyes. Lulu Land. Shut the F up. Luna yelled out from the other room. What's going on? Izuku could be heard questioningly. Nothing. Now get back under there. Luna instructed, angry that her time was being cut short. The three imps heard this however, which left them with varying reactions. Moxie blushed slightly, averting his gaze. Blitz scowled and chugged his coffee, want to forget that it was happening. And Millie was smirking widely while she stared off into the direction of Luna's desk. Cut to Lulu Land. A van with an IMP decal spray painted on the side pulls into the rather empty parking lot. Moxie exits the van and opens the side door. A very cramped Stolas extracts himself excitedly. His daughter exits the van far less excitedly. Stolas dons an apple-themed hat and gestures toward the park gate. Octavia groans and pulls her hat low over her face. Izuku's car is seen following shortly behind them before exiting the car and making sure it's locked. He knows how things work in the greed ring. Octavia watches him closely with a small blush adorning her face. What took you so long, kid? Blitz asked, slightly annoyed. It's more of, who, bits. He stared him dead in the eyes. Your daughter, Blitz, your daughter. Midoriya. Stolas came over, greeting him with a handshake. Which he happily reciprocated. It's always so nice to see you. How have you been? It's been hectic at times but nothing I can't handle. And I finally got a lovely teacher to tutor my little girls. Speaking of, come meet my little owlet. Stolas gestured over to Octavia, who was still staring at Izuku. This here is my adorable little girl, Octavia. Dad? She squealed in embarrassment, not want him to ruin this. Well, I can definitely see that, Stolas. He smiled as he reached out for a handshake. It's lovely to meet you, Octavia. Likewise. She accepted his hand, but what she didn't expect was for Izuku to take her hand and place a kiss on it. The act caused her blushes to grow wider as steam seemed to be coming from her ears. And don't you worry about a thing, I'll make sure you're safe and sound throughout the entire trip, sweetie. He smiled at her, a smile that radiated kindness and warmth. Thank you very much. She stuttered out, but she smiled nonetheless at the gesture. Stolas, who was watching this, couldn't help but smile, thinking that their first meeting was going well. That is until Blitz, being who he is, ruined the entire thing. Come on, you corny F, let's get this over with, he said as he sauntered into the park. Well, that killed the moment. Millie grumbled, hating that her boss ruined the cute display she was seeing. Now, remember, this is work and work only. Me and my crew are not here to satisfy your perv bird needs, alright? Blitz says as Stolas simply looks over the park. Hey Dad, do we have to? Octavia says disgustedly before being cut off by Blitz. Okay, yeah. Hold on right there, sweetie. He returns his attention to Stolas. If you try effing my little as in that park, I swear to. You are so cute when you are serious, he says as he boops Bitz's little snoot. I'm literally gonna be sick. Octavia groans in disgust at watching her father being this thirsty. Not all know the crazy things her mother says to her lover, but she'll find out soon enough. Oh, crumbs. I knew today would be a lot. What do you need? Moxie fishes around in a fanny pack and throws out several pill bottles as he lists off his inventory. Antacids? Ibuprofen? Moxie shows Octavia several hypodermic needles of a glowing, acid green substance. Morphine? That was figurative, old man. Octavia scowls as she moves to follow behind her father. Oh, be nice. Mox just likes to be prepared. Izuku chuckles lightly. But I think the morphine was a bit overkill. Moxie chuckles sheepishly as he discards the needles into a nearby baby carriage, where a baby imp happily reaches out to play with its dangerous new toys. Seeing this, Izuku springs into action before the child gets hurt. And that's a big nope. Izuku quickly took the needles out of the infant's reach and threw them into an actual trash can. I hope he doesn't get that careless with his own kids. Oh, who am I kidding? Mox would wrap them up in bubble wrap every time they left the house. The little one giggled at him, prompting the greenette to smile as he tickled the baby's cheek. Little did he know that Octavia was watching his display with a blush on her face. Woo! I haven't been to this place since I was a tot. Millie says excitedly as she watches a large letter fall off the sign of a nearby ride, crushing the teenaged imp underneath. It hasn't changed a bit. Oh! Look! It's Big Wobbly. Millie gestures toward a hideously malformed animatronic dinosaur, which opens its mouth and lets out a terrifying, demonic shriek. That is deeply upsetting. Moxie says, bewildered by his wife's amusement of such a thing. Oh, come on. It's fun. You've never been here? No. Theme parks always disturbed me, especially the mascots. Right as he says that, the park's mascot appears out of nowhere behind Moxie. Well, hey there. The person dressed as a giant hideous apple calls out. Ah. Moxie screams in terror as he jumps back and lands in Izuku's arms Scooby-Doo style. I'm Lulu. Welcome to Lulu Land. If y'all get hurt here, just try and sue us. Challenge accepted. Izuku mutters to himself as he has hell's very best lawyers on speed dial. That, and he owns most of them. Don't question it. Look. Via. It's Lulu. Stolas gasps excitedly while trying to get Octavia interested as well. I have a question. Octavia smirks as she gets the mascot's attention. Well, ask away, little girlie. Hyuk. Is it true this park is just a really shameless spin-off of the far more popular Lulu World? She smirks confidently while Lulu tries not to let it show. No. As someone who has gone there on multiple occasions, I can safely say that this place is the most bootlegged bootleg to ever bootleg in the history of bootlegs. Izuku says with a small chuckle, getting a laugh out of the young Goishia as well. This place reeks of insecure corporate shame. Octavia says as she stares dead into the mascot's eyes. Why don't we go check out the rides? Stolas chuckles nervously as he leads Octavia away. That chick's creepy, huh? The Apple Man said, now starting to rethink his career choices. Wait till her dad tries to diddle your holes. Blitz says with a deadpan as he follows the bodies he's supposed to be guarding. What's that mean? Don't talk to me. Moxie growls while still being held in Izuku's arms. I know you're a perv under there. He points an accusatory finger while glaring at him. Izuku glares at him as well before walking away while still holding Moxie. Millie shoots a quick glare at Lulu before following after them. Jumping up onto Izuku's shoulder and leaving behind the dejected worker. Yeah, he silently admits, soon being met by a fireball that sent him flying into a pile of trash. Getting many amused laughs from onlookers. Back with the trio, Millie continues to excitedly look around from Izuku's shoulder while Moxie has finally realized the position he was in. Gaining a slight blush that got a smile out of Izuku while they caught up with each other. You really like this place, huh? Moxie asked his wife, who was still happily smiling at the surroundings. I love this place. My parents would bring me and my siblings here when they could swing it. Money-wise. She says, clearly seeing the park through the lenses of childhood nostalgia. Remind me to treat you all to a nice afternoon at Lulu World when we all get a chance. Izuku says with a smile, getting an excited laugh out of Millie. You're such a good boyfriend, hun. She hugs head, purposely getting his face right into her tips. Anything for you guys? He smiles with a blush on his face, not really attempting to move his face away from its place. Moxie looks over to see a worker wheeling a wheelbarrow piled to the brim with money into a nearby gift shop. The two approach the window, where novelty cups and stuffed apples are for sale. The cups appear to cost at least 29 souls per item. Yeah. The prices do seem rather criminal here. I mean, that much for a novelty cup that you use one time? 'Cause, it's Lulu Land. Millie says excitedly while Izuku shakes his head in disapproval. Yeesh. You could 12 cups for that price in Lulu World and still have enough for at least 3 buckets of popcorn. He groans disapprovingly at the shop, getting the shopkeeper to flip him off. Yeah, I am definitely treating you and your family to Lulu World. Blitzo walks up, having loaded up on merch, including a novelty cup, as well as a hat with attached can holders and straws. Needless to say, Izuku was very annoyed considering those were definitely bought off of the company's already low-budget money. Okay, that's enough flirting. Blitzo takes a swig from his novelty cup. How about the kid and I take the first watch while you two have a little fun? He said with a wink. Ooh. That sounds so great. Millie gives Izuku a quick kiss to the cheek before jumping off of his shoulder and grabs Moxie from his arms. We gotta do my favorite ride. Oh, yeah? Which one? Moxie asked worriedly, both for their safety and their wallets. Cut to a shot of a lone imp riding a roller coaster named The Lawsuit, that suddenly plunges off a sheer 90-degree drop at incredible speed while also on fire and with its rider hanging on for dear life. The coaster violently plunges into a tunnel in the ground. Oh, crumbs. He lets out a terrified squeal as he fears for his life. Cut to Moxie vomiting into a trash can after having left the ride. A vomit-covered family walks by in the background, glaring disapprovingly at Moxie. A massive dragon-like creature from the nearby petting zoo looms overhead, also glaring at Moxie. In another part of the park, Stolas and Octavia walk along the path, as Blitzo takes up positions all around them with his rifle, on the lookout for any danger. A group of imps creep up behind the booths, ropes, knives, and pitchforks at the ready. They quickly scatter as Blitzo looks in their direction. You really need to chill out, Blitz. Izuku says before getting flipped the bird from his boss. Is he always like this? Octavia asks, getting a small groan in response from him. That bad? You have no idea. You know, it's quite thrilling to see you on the job, Blitzy. Stolas playfully strokes the tip of Blitz's horn, getting a side eye from the imp. Save it, B. I'm working. You both need to get a room, Octavia states, annoyed at their antics. Preferably one far away from us, Izuku adds before something catches his eye. Something that shocks him before sighing. Hey, I am not a DHKR. Bits declared loudly as a woman walking nearby with her baby glares at Blitzo before continuing on in a huff. What? I just said I'm not one, prude, he says as he flips her off. Oh. Look, Via. Stolas points excitedly at the circus tent. A demon mother is struggling to pull her crying son into the tent. You used to cry such tears of joy at this show. Oh, no, and with that her childhood PTSD has now kicked in. Cut to a flashback to Octavia as a young girl, as she is pushed against the stage by an excited crowd of imp children, as Sparks and cackles maniacally leering over Octavia, who soon breaks into tears. A younger Blitzo is seen in the background tending to a food cart, dressed and painted as a clown, scowling. I hate that F-clown. Blitz and Octavia say in unison, getting an amused chuckle from Izuku. Pan to Stolas, who has been captured and hoisted aloft by the crew of imps from earlier. Stola's arms are bound and his head is covered by a cloth sack, and the imps are pointing various weapons at him. One has stolen Stola's wallet. Oh, Blitzy, I need my bodyguard, please. He calls out, not at all concerned in the slightest. One imp jumps, to try and skewer Stolas with a pitchfork. Blitzo quickly brings his rifle to bear, shooting the imp in the torso, splattering Stolas' head with BLD. The other imps quickly scatter. Octavia enters the big top and finds a seat. Blitzo carries Stolas in, head still covered in the BLD-soaked sack, sets him down, and walks off to take position. Stolas makes no move to remove the sack, until Octavia, annoyed, rips it off her father's head. Izuku makes his way next to them and hands each of them some cotton candy he got from a stall beforehand. Hey, implings. It's me, the robot Fitzarali. The robotic entertainer stutters and sparks in front of the crowd. Shipped from Big Ozzy's factory to bring you a wonderful show celebrating Lulu Land, spelled with OS, to avoid lawsuits. Hit it. Meanwhile, Moxie and Millie walk along a row of game booths, when they are addressed by one of the vendors. Millie gleefully yanks Moxie over towards the booth. Hello. Step right up and win a thing, he said, gesturing to the thing in question is some sort of purple stuffed penguin creature with imp horns, wearing pink overalls. The stuffed animal is labeled with a tag that says, thing? Oh, look, Moxie. A thing. She gasps excitedly as she looks over the confused stuffed creature. Oh, you like that thing? Moxie smiled as Millie let out an excited squeal. Yes. I don't really know what that thing is, but I want that thing. She smiled wildly as she bounced around. Oh. We gotta get a couple for the kids too. Alrighty then. He smiled slightly smug as he approached the stand. Finally, something I can handle. Moxie takes out some money and hands it to the carny. Okay. For games, police. The carny imp rolls his eyes and uses his tail to hand Moxie a pistol with a cork projectile in the muzzle. Moxie does not even line up the shot, instead looking to his wife as he effortlessly hits the target right in the bullseye. Unbeknownst to Moxie, the target barely moves. He makes a ricochet noise with his mouth and blows the black powder smoke clear of the gun, pleased with his marksmanship. Oh. Strike one, little man. The carny says smugly as he smirks down at him. But hey! You got 3 more. But, I hit it. I don't know what to tell ya, buddy. The target, see? It didn't go down. So, yeah. No go, bro. Moxie growls in anger, and grabs the pistol and fires another cork, hitting the target dead center. The target does not budge. Moxie slaps the pistol in annoyance. The heavens wrong with this thing? He smacked the toy pistol, annoyed with the performance of the piece. 2 to go, little man. He continued to smugly look down at Moxie. Oh, man. A real shame, I tell ya. He cries mockingly, making Moxie hisses in anger as he slaps another bill on the counter. Another. Cut back to the Robo-Fizz show. Stolas is gleefully clapping to the music, while Octavia has thrown her head back in torment, banging her fist on the seat next to her. Izuku was simply staring at the replica of a famous imp with a bit of annoyance. Wondering how that thing even still functions with how horribly maintained it is. Body sing along with the Lulu band. Every boy, every girl, every woman, every man loves Lululemon. The show ends with a small pyrotechnic display as Robo-Fizz cackles maniacally. The bear animatronic faceplants onto the stage and falls to pieces. Stolas claps and cheers even harder. Ah ho 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 ho, how delightful. Behind Stolas, an imp armed with a Chris dagger rises from beneath the seats ready to stab Stolas, but the top of his head is quickly blown apart by a shot from Blitzo, who has taken up a position in the gallery behind the back row of seats while imps scream in absolute fear and run away. Oh, my. What aim you have, Blitzy. Stolas speaks flirtatiously, not even noticing his daughter's anger bubbling up. Ugh. I can't do this anymore. Octavia stands up angrily and begins running away, shocking Stolas out of his trance. Wait, Octavia. He runs after her with Izuku following behind him concerned. Blitz cycles his rifle, and prepares to give chase after his charges when the robot on stage gets his attention. Mua ha 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 ho ho ho. Is that Blitzo? My sensors spot up the air? I bet the kiddies are still running away from you, huh? He lets out a sickly laugh that gets his attention. The "oh" is silent now. Aowu, just like your audience always was when you told your lazy jokes here. He laughs as Blitzo removes his visors and throws them on the ground as he continues his argument with Robo-Fizz. I make more money killing people than you do being a cheap-ass robo ripoff of an overrated sellout jester. Boo-hoo-hoo. Someone's salty. Robo-Fizz glitches maniacally. Real or not, though, people love me. Does anybody love you, Blitzo? No. He says flatly before smirking and brandishing his rifle. But, I'm really good with guns now. Dance, B. Blitzo slams a new magazine into his rifle, switches it to full auto and opens up on Robo-Fizz, who cartwheels out of the way of the incoming rounds. Robo-Fizz rapidly spins like a will rolling up the stairs to where Blitzo is. He coils himself around Blitzo like a snake, before using his own momentum to launch Blitzo through the top of the tent. Oh, FMEEEE. Torches, I say. Get your inconvenient torches here. Wally Wackford rolls a cart of lit torches outside the tent. Blitz lands on the cart, scattering the torches everywhere, which light the big top on fire. Ah wow. I say, oh www. The green fire very rapidly spreads to all corners of the park. Burning and melting animatronics flee the tent as Robo-Fizz cackles and spins his head with demonic glee at the destruction. Elsewhere, the Carny imp at the shooting gallery holds 600 souls of Moxie's money, with Moxie himself glaring at him with seething anger. Wow. Man, you're really starting to make this sad. You know, if USEK. Guess you won't win your honey here a prize. Let me try. Millie grabs the pistol and fires a cork at a target, which misses wildly. The Carny imp grins mischievously, and presses a foot pedal in the booth, which causes a target to fall down. Oh, look at that. Lucky shot, baby. He says, leering over to her with a flirting gaze. Are you kidding me? You charlatan. He begins to yell only to be shoved away. Hey, get lost, pipsqueak. I'm talking to the lady. The Carny imp leans toward Millie and makes a stuck purring sound at her. Millie immediately recoils in disgust. In the background, Blitz and Robo-Fizz continue to do battle against each other as the fires spread. Blitzo is thrown up into the air by Robo-Fizz and comes down through the roof of the shooting gallery, crushing the carny imp under him. Ow! Oof! Ugh! Sir? Moxie yelled in shock at seeing his boss land on the carny but was overall grateful he did. Oh hey, guys. He speaks slightly dazed from the impact. You should probably go, make sure Stolas is okay. I've got some unfinished business to take care of. Getting the message, Moxie quickly grabs Millie's hand and runs away. Not before making sure to grab a few of the plushies before they get destroyed. He worked hard to try and get those for Millie and the kids, and he'd be mad if he didn't get them. Blitz draws his flintlock pistol, cocks it, and fires at the now burning Robo-Fizz. The impact of the bullet spins Robo-Fizz's head around, but when he spins his head back, he is revealed to be unharmed by the shot, having caught the bullet in his teeth. He then spits the bullet out. Oh, what a mouth! Blitzo immediately grimaces when he realizes what he just said. Robo-Fizz coils himself up into his rolling form again, charging straight at Blitzo. He leaps out of the way as his enemy hits the booth, destroying it in a large explosion. Several pieces of shrapnel and burning prizes shoot in all directions, as the camera follows the severed heads of 3 of the things Moxie attempted to win. The piece of stuffed animal strikes a young imp boy in the head, knocking him unconscious the second a photographer takes a picture of the imp family. Godmit, Nathan! You ruined another bloody photo. Why were you even born? The father yelled in anger. Karma soon hit as a large piece of debris from one of the rides fell on him, essentially crushing him. Elsewhere, Stolas is still running after his daughter. Izuku was running along with him and doing his best to make sure the fires didn't spread as quickly. He soon saw the girl they were looking for in the distance. Octavia? Stolas called out for her. Just leave me alone. Octavia. Octavia runs into a building called the Fun House. Inside, Stolas is confronted with a surreal room of eyes, tubes, spikes, mirrors, and disembodied hands. He goes further into the room, looking around for where his daughter could have gone. A shadow appears behind Stolas, as a random imp jumps upon his back. I think I'm supposed to be bodyguard right now. The imp covers Stolas' mouth with his shirt sleeve, but is suddenly shot in the head and falls to the ground. Moxie and Millie appear in the entryway, Millie having just shot the imp with a pistol. Hey, you two. You guys have fun? Izuku asked with mild amusement as the 2 imps slid down the stairs. We had plenty, hun. We even got some prizes for the girls. Millie said as she snuggled one of the things. Where is Blitzy? He's my knight in shining armor, not you littler ones. Stolas questions, mildly annoyed. He's, busy. Millie says awkwardly, not sure how to describe the situation. Being a fool. Moxie states while carrying a sack filled with the plushies he stole. What kind of fool? That everything is now on fire, kind. So just typical Blitz. Got it. Izuku says as he goes deeper into the fun house with Stolas following behind him. They leave through a tunnel into an adjacent room where Izuku sees Octavia riding in circles in apple-themed rail cars, crying into her arms. Stolas notices her and tries to go over to her, only to be stopped by Izuku. Let me talk to her really quickly. I think I can at least help her out a bit, he says, getting a nod from the owl demon. Octavia, Izuku speaks as he approaches the ride. Just go away. She yells at him, continuing to cry as she did so. He ignored her wishes and took a seat beside her, sitting in slight awkwardness for a few seconds before he placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. She takes her face out of her arms and looks at him, expecting him to start talking to her. I don't really have the greatest relationship with my dad, he says, simply slightly surprising her. It's not that he doesn't try, it's just tough to accept him in my life when he wasn't in it for so long. Especially with all the trouble I've caused him. What happened? She asked, wiping away at her tears. It's just, my parents were never really married or were even a couple for that long. After they broke off they didn't stay in contact. He started explaining. I spent nearly 2 decades of my life without a father, and when we met for the first time I wasn't sure what to do. He sure as hell wasn't sure either. What are you trying to say? That I'd be better off without him? She grumbled, not trying to understand where he was getting at. No. It's just I think you're lucky growing up with him as a parent. It's clear that he really loves you. He just wanted to spend time with you, seeing how you used to love it here. Yeah, before my parents hated each other. And my dad didn't flirt with some red as the whole time. Octavia's tears begin flowing again as she starts crying again. Suddenly she gets a feeling around her. Lifting her gaze, she finds Izuku hugging her gently, stroking her feathers in an attempt to comfort her. Easing herself into the hold, she continues to cry. Parents aren't perfect and sometimes they make mistakes, he says to her as he holds her close. But he's trying, isn't he? Just take a chance to talk it out with him. But how can I talk to him? He doesn't listen. He didn't listen to me about coming here and won't listen now. He will if you just give him the chance, he says, gesturing over to Stolas, who is peeking over to them. So talk it out right now. I got a fire to put out outside. He sighs as he lets her go. Don't mess up this chance, Stolas. Stolas nods to him before he leaves the room. He sits next to his daughter for a moment, trying to figure out what to say. I take it you are not having fun. I didn't even want to come here, she yells through her tears. I'm sorry, sweetie. I thought you loved it here. When I was a kid and my parents didn't hate each other and my dad didn't flirt with some weird red D-head the entire time. I'm sorry, Vaya. I'm sorry for everything happening right now. I know it's a lot. I should have listened. I just want to go home, but home doesn't even feel like home anymore. You ruined it. You need to understand your mother and I felt, she's always been, I haven't been, we weren't, and I'm sorry, I don't have the words. He stuttered over himself. Are you gonna run off with him? And leave me behind? Go away where I can't find you? She asked through tears. What? No. No, never. I'd never do that. Never. He quickly rushed over to her and wrapped her in a hug. She smiled under the warm embrace as he picked her up in his arms. I think it's time to leave this place. You were right. You are too old for it, anyway. Stolas carries Octavia out of the fun house, as an imp grins maniacally in the space above the drop ceiling, looking down on Stolas. The imp drops down and flicks open a switchblade. Stolas immediately turns around, eyes glowing brightly. The imp immediately turns to stone and is knocked over by a pendulum. Hi-ho! Silver! Izuku yells from atop the dragon with Moxie on his shoulder, firing off several rounds at the Robo-Fizz. Millie is dashing around trying to shoot the robot, but he dogs them as he rolls around wildly. It is however short-lived, as the robot is caught by the draconic creature from before, and is swallowed whole. Stolas and Octavia leave the park, strolling past all the action, not really caring for it. So, what would you like to do now? Oh, can we go to Stylish Occult? They sell weird taxidermy there. Okay, he reluctantly agrees, getting a small laugh from her. Thanks, Dad. You're okay, sometimes. Thank you, Vaya. Thank you. He hugs her closer as a massive explosion rocks what's left of the park, sending the employees of IMP hurtling through the air, smoking and screaming. Izuku spreads his wings and catches Moxie and Millie before they could hit the ground. Unfortunately, he couldn't get Blitz in time, so he crashed onto the ground in front of Stolas and Octavia. Izuku landed safely shortly after. Our sweet hero, Millie says as she kisses Izuku on the lips for a few seconds. I'd wager you've earned something special later. Calm down, Mills. Izuku chuckles as he gives her one more kiss before setting them down. Way to ruin another good thing, sir. Moxie complained as he watched him crawl on the ground. Worth it. That salty toy clown had it comin'. Blitz falls unconscious as a stray Kyiv strolls over and begins to drag him away. "He'll be fine," Izuku says as they watch the Kyiv drag him back not even a second later, taking a quick PSS on him before running away. "Welp, I guess we better get you two home then." He refocuses on Stolas and Octavia. "Actually, if you would be so kind as to instead drop us off at this stylish occult business. Vaya would like to check out the taxidermy there." "Oh sure, that won't be an issue. I can take you guys over," Izuku says as he picks Blitz by the tail and tosses him in the van. "Yeah, we should be all good for the rest of the day," Millie said as she loaded up into the passenger side. "Well, I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow then." Izuku peers over to the driver's side where Mox had sat. "Drive safely and call if you need me." "Later, boo," he kissed his cheek, making him blush. "Must you be such a flirt at times like this?" "Ah, you know you love it, sweetie," he winks at them before they start driving off. "Anyway, let's load up. I call shotgun," Octavia says excitedly as Izuku opens the passenger door for her. Stolas looked at this with a small smile, knowing that he had made a good decision. Now all he had to worry about was bringing it up with his daughter when the time was right. He scowled at the thought of how little time he has left to keep her from having to live through what he has, but hopes it will turn out well. "Hey Dad." Octavia's voice cut his thoughts short. "You coming?" "Yes. Yes. I'm coming, my owlet." He smiled happily as he should focus on spending time with his daughter. "So?" Izuku grumbled as he pinched the bridge of his nose. "It might be because I've been gone for a few days, but could someone please explain this?" he yelled pointedly as he stared at two individuals who sat on the couch in the hotel lobby. These two individuals were none other than Mara Mayberry, who was currently looking down slightly ashamed. Her face held a massive blush as she fidgeted in place. The other, surprisingly, was Martha, the Southern belle that Mayberry had hired IMP to kill months ago. The blonde shared the former's nervousness and slight embarrassment, though that had more to do with the only clothing she was wearing at this moment was one of the hotel bathrobes. And I mean the only thing she was wearing. "I don't know." Mayberry finally spoke up, not even looking him in the eye. "It all happened so fast. One moment I was having drinks with a friend, then I saw her. I was seeing red. It was hot," Martha said with a lustful smirk. "The next thing I knew we were wrestling in an alley. She tore my clothes off and I tore hers. We hit somebody, then there was red smoke everywhere." Mayberry continued her best to explain, but her embarrassment overwhelmed her as she shrunk into her seat. "I'll continue then." Martha LCKED her lips with a smirk that made Izuku slightly uneasy. "She latched her lips onto me and we started making out like mad. Then she grabbed 2 handfuls of my tips," she emphasized by grabbing her melon, nearing popping out of her robe. "She dragged me halfway down the city before we got here. She threw me on her bed and ate me like a ravenous beast. So I flipped her over and did the same." In her excitement she spread her legs, revealing her shaved PP for all to see. "Stop!" Mayberry yelled out as she hid behind her arms. "He doesn't need to know that." "I think he does. After all, it was his name you started screaming, darlin'. Please skip to the end." Izuku sighed as he tried to avoid looking down at Martha's "yeah. Like you don't want to know what we did. I bet you just love a full performance of it," she smirked, running her hand down her exposed form. "I will neither confirm or deny that." He blushed, looking away from the scene, hoping that the women could see his growing irkton. "And then I woke up with this CC little tramp stamp, and then you saw me trying to sneak out bare peach naked," she said, exposing her slim abdomen and showing off a mark that bore a resemblance to Mayberry's horns with a heart. "Well, you guys entered a soul deal," Izuku surmised as he and Mayberry continued to look over the exposed areas of her body. "So yeah, now you own her now. Good luck." "Well, this will be fun." Martha slid her way toward Mayberry, completely shedding her robe. "Won't it, Mstrs? P please, and not in front of him," she whispered, her voice trembling. As were her legs. Why not? I'm certain the big boy over there would love to have two CC little bees to play with. Marth shook her peach towards Izuku as she snuck her hand up Mayberry's skirt. Ain't that right, MSTR? I think you all know where this is going, Izuku said as he looked over at the readers before covering the camera with his hand. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 3. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author DiabloDrago on Wattpad. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.